Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Tyler. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, buddy. Good to be here. Good to see
Fantastic.
everybody. Hope everybody's well.
Yeah, man. It's a great day. Today we've talked a lot about how great AoS 3.0 is, and in fact, it is great. But there are some challenges, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the problem areas of AoS 3.0. So, it's going to be a real spicy show. Get ready for that. Get ready for the spice to
Yep.
flow. But that's okay. It'll still be
I
fun, I
feel,
promise.
I feel like we can do this. We've been incredibly positive, I think, about 3.0 on all these shows.
Yeah, and like I said, overall, and as I'll mention again when we start the segment,
Yeah.
it's great. I can't play enough of it. Truly, the thing that I am most sad about is that I am not playing this game right now, but yet here we are. But that doesn't mean there's not always room to improve, and that's what we're going to talk through.
Indeed.
Okay, cool beans. So, but first, of course, we've got some news. Not much, but a little. What do we got?
Yeah, so start with the rumor engine, of course.
It is the
So,
saddle for the new Stormcast Dragon Riders. End of discussion.
yeah,
Because it
I
looks
saw.
Seraphon inspired, and they're the ones who gave him the Draconith. Done.
I am all in, my friend. Let's do it.
Discussion over.
I
That's what
saw
it
some
is.
people propose Chaos Oath Breakers. That might be an early hint of the potential 2022 Chaos Dwarves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No,
Because they
not
think
buying
it's a
it.
little face
It's a little
with a
face.
little
Yeah.
mustache.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Sure. Sure. Or it looks like a roughly slon head with sort of Seraphon favored spiky bits, because that's the kind of thing they would have if you mesh
Yeah.
those two designs. So, uh, and it's the human's natural inclination to see faces and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nope. Let's do the Dragon Army or the Dragons making their way into Stormcast. I'm all
Get
in.
those Stormcast dragons in my hands. Let's go. This is what I want. And
Yep.
if they like the Seraphon showed up in the story, when they published it up this week as well that we had talked about last week,
Hmm.
and the uh, obviously hey, we've got all this brand new race of dragons, and we're going to hand them to the Stormcast. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. So if they were going to do so, they'd probably be like, and also here's some fun saddles for you to ride. And this is what Seraphon saddle for Stormcast would look like in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So yeah, hopefully that's it. We had a little
If it
news.
is Chaos
Yeah.
Dwarves, by the way, cool,
Yeah.
fine.
Sure.
That's also
Yeah.
fine.
Rob will be happy.
Yes.
We can still make fun of him.
I hope they eventually get their real plastic army, like Death
Right.
War of Krieg style or something, whatever, so they can
Yeah.
stop being a meme and a joke and get their real army. I do hope they eventually make a whole plastic range of that not real army. That would be nice.
Indeed. Yep. All right, so we had a little article about some new starter boxes and paint sets on the way for new AOS. Similar to what they did for 40K Ninth, of course. They're doing the same thing here. They've got
Yep.
3 different ones. You know, Personally, they're obviously not for folks like you and me, and so there's not a whole lot. It's smaller number of models for each one, scale of different sizes. The most intriguing was the biggest one, the Extremist set, because you get some of that fancy new terrain in
Yeah.
that kit.
Yeah. My answer is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just go buy Dominion.
I know, it's such a good deal.
Like, Dominion exists.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that new terrain though.
It's
It
cool. It's super
is,
cool. I certainly hope to, like, I'm gonna pick a box that up eventually when I've got some time, just to add to the
yeah,
table. Why not? Always good to have more terrain options.
yeah,
But
definitely. I wonder if you could have a Maw Crusher just hanging out there on the top of that little spear sticking up, if that's
well, we'll
if that's
talk about
illegal.
that later on, my friend.
Yeah. All right, so we've got a little piece we want to do here in recognition of someone who's been in pretty much all of our lives for a very long time. As many of you may know, The legend himself, Jervis Johnson, is retiring. I believe he has officially retired as of this month after 38 years at Games Workshop. And we just want to take a little bit of time to recognize it. I think if anyone deserves it, it is Jervis Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, he's created a tremendous amount of content in his
Yeah,
career that has given, I mean, countless thousands and thousands of hours of enjoyment to people. It's truly he's a paragon of game design. Now, he's like most good game designers. He is occasionally a controversial figure.
sure.
Like occasionally he makes stuff people don't like or makes choices people don't appreciate. That to me is just the nature of the beast, right? Like,
Right.
you're always going to have that happen. That being said, he's the original creator of Blood Bowl and
Yeah.
Epic and a bunch of other games. He's launched editions. He was the writer of the original 4 pages for AoS,
Right.
right? I mean, like, and he wanted to make it 12 pages, but they wouldn't let him. They said it had to be 4.
No. I
So
remember hearing that. Wow.
yeah, so I mean, he is a titan, and certainly, you know, I think that to have such a storied career at one company, just
Yeah.
doing one thing, there really aren't many people in the world who even are who can do or have done or would have the temerity or the endurance to do what he's done. Most game designers aren't
Right.
like that. If you look at most game designers who work at companies or who launch editions of major games, they tend to move on after that edition.
Yeah.
Right? There aren't a lot of people who really stick around for years and years and years and years at a single company and live edition through edition, new game through new game, so on and so forth. They go on to other companies or to do other things. But Jervis found what he loved, and he stuck with it. So good
Yeah.
for him. I hope he enjoys his retirement. And you know what? I hope now that he's retired, he's never going to stop creating stuff. I hope he does a few indie things here or there.
Sure.
Just,
Yeah.
has fun
That'd
with
be
it.
amazing.
Put some
Yeah,
stuff up
definitely.
on Wargame Vault, Jervis.
Right.
Like, it'd be super fun. Just put out a game. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing a lot of recognition in the White Dwarf 466 that's coming out. They had a little article in Warmer Community. It was I think it was yesterday it came out, and so yeah, definitely going to pick that issue up. Hopefully, a lot of us will. And I know Phil Kelly has got a piece in there. He was a great mentor to Phil, and yeah, he's certainly been in my life. I mean, I remember reading his White Dwarf battle reports. I think like 1996, sometime around there when I was like 16. And of course, he would always lose, which was amazing, but he would lose in the most incredible ways possible. Like Andy Chambers and him, playing the games back in the day. And yeah, just a tremendous fan of a lot of it. It's remarkable looking at his Wikipedia page, like
Yeah.
just how much he has done. It's
Yeah.
stunning. Yeah, Advanced Hero Quest, Adeptus Mechanicus. He was a playtester for the first Rogue Trader, the first edition of Warhammer 40,000, and obviously, yeah, has been involved with Warhammer Fantasy, and it's really a remarkable career.
So, good luck, buddy. Thank you for so much that has enriched our lives. We're certainly all deeply appreciative of it, and I hope that whatever you're doing now, you have fun with it. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So what else we got? We have some events.
Yeah, man.
With
Let's get that event calendar up.
I was telling you the incredible amount of work that I decided to create for myself each week. Okay, you got it pulled up there?
It's up. Yep.
All right, sweet. So yeah, last weekend we had the Grand Clash in Canada. I think it was in Quebec. I know the Season of War crew, they went out for that. And I think it was around 96 players. It was their send-off to 2.0 there in Canada. I saw Jordan, Season of War, he finished third with his Ideneth. I think he might have been playing on the top table last game. So that was really, he got best order as well. That was really
Nice.
cool to see. I think in general, yeah, the Season of War crew did excellent at the event. If anybody's got the information, the results, Dan and I haven't seen them. We'd love to get our hands on the results from that event, just see how it shook out. And this weekend, we've got the first 3.0 tournament, Battletime Varberg, happening in Sweden, as well as Circle City Clash. We mentioned that last week. Mighty Boss Mike, his team tournament is going on. I saw Mike post recently that he had a couple of open spots. So if anybody can get to Indianapolis, Indiana on short notice here, he'd love to see you. And then Renegade Open, which I guess maybe Joe Cryer is involved in this weekend.
Sure.
In
If it's in Minneapolis, Mr. Cryer is definitely involved. That is for sure.
Yeah. I don't know much about War Under the Mountain, but that's happening in Australia. Hopefully that'll be a good event. Maybe if Coach is in the chat, he can tell us more about that. And then one new addition to this slide from last week, the London Open. So that's happening July 31st, August 1st. Unfortunately, that is overlapping with Mancunian Carnage. So I saw a little tweet thread on that. Like, I guess it couldn't quite be avoided. They were trying to get a different date. I don't know what happened, but anyway, that's going on. The London Open. It looks like it's going to be a big event. I know they've got quite a few resources they've been putting into, making that a good grand tournament every year.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. I'll tell you right now, I'm watching Circle City. Okay.
Yeah.
Because our good friends, our good buddies up in the Detroit Warhammer Club,
okay,
have a team going. The Detroit crew is rolling out en masse to Circle City.
Yeah.
All of them taking Sons of Behemoth.
Love it.
And they have all different lists.
Nice.
So it's all different. It's all different giant lists. Some have Kragnos, some don't. You got the 4 Mega Gargant list. You got a traditional with a couple megas and some packs of babies. They represent a sizable portion of the tournament.
Oh my lord! I wonder what was going on. I saw Sean post a photo, I think today. Yeah, he had like 6 babies. I don't know what the orientation was. Maybe 2x3s, and then I think a Kraken and a Mega or a Somper. Not the Gatebreaker, but
it's exciting.
Yeah,
what I want to see is a first, second, third that's just sons. Just Detroit brings it home. That's what I'm hoping for.
The real question: are they going to do that for NashCon singles? That's the real question.
Who knows? But
there's a challenge for those guys. Top tables, Relian, Jake, Sean, and company.
Well, I'm going to be there. So are you just discounting me? I see how it is, Tyler. I see how it is.
You haven't picked an army. I mean, at least you're going, but you still haven't picked an army as far as I know of last week.
Well, realistically, I'll take a bad army, so it's fine. All right, let's talk August, because I brought up the August slide. A lot of stuff coming in August as well.
Yeah, oh my God, the floodgates have opened.
Yeah, that's where we really see it. A lot of games coming back. It's clear Warhammer is back with August, so that's, it's too much to read. I'll leave it up here on the screen.
Right.
But there's stuff happening all over the world. Obviously, still a lot of UK, a lot of Australia and New Zealand events going on, which just sounds fantastic. The fact that on single weekends you've got multiple Australian events going on, right? Like at the end of August on the 28th and 29th, you got the Toowoomba Open at the same time as the TTD Winter Wipeout. Fantastic. I love it. One in Queensland, one in Victoria. So just a lot of really great stuff throughout August. Obviously, we were just mentioning NashCon. August 21st and 22nd. Very much looking forward to that. It'll be my first tournament back since, all of this.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Happened since February of last year. So
is Tom on board? Is he gonna go?
Yeah, he'll be there.
All right, good. Cool. Yeah. I saw Warhammer Open Orlando. There was a little announcement by Mike Brandt, he's head organizer, as far as I know, for Warhammer events right now with Games Workshop. Mike said that I think it was Orlando. No, it was New Orleans was full. I think Austin is full. Maybe Orlando. So
Orlando's the one that still has openings. Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Which makes sense. Who wants to go to Florida? Apologies to all of you who live in Florida, but here we are. Seriously, if I had the choice between Orlando, New Orleans, and Austin, that's really not a choice. No offense, Florida, but
you're really working on those downvotes for us. I think we're covered by the top one.
Real quick, I just want to answer. Tidings attempted to link the Clash results. Tidings, YouTube doesn't let people who aren't the administrator of the stream post links for safety reasons. But if you want to just shoot those directly at Tyler or DM myself or him or post it down in the comments, that we'll let that happen there. Then that's fine. We can grab it. So whatever works, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, Jill, everybody. I mean, as always, AOSevents.org. Just get in touch with Dan or I, one way or another. Scorpion Wells on Twitter or AOS Shorts. Dan might have an underscore in there somewhere. And yeah, just let us know about any events that are going. We'll get them added to the calendar. They got to be 2-day events of some kind or another.
Brandon S. said, is NashCon a good place to go to a first tournament? I've been wanting to go to my first, but I'm a newer player. Yes, 100%. So it's run by a gentleman named David Griffin, who is one of the nicest men in all of Warhammer. I think Tyler and I and basically anybody who goes to that tournament would attest to it. It's full of really, really friendly people. Like, I promise you, even if it's your first tournament, you don't have to worry about losing or winning or whatever. I mean, if it's your very first tournament, chances are you're going to lose sometimes. That's fine. I don't think you're... I hope people don't set expectations of going 5-0 at the first tournament they ever played in.
Yeah.
But the middle tables and the lower tables at NashCon are just full of the most friendly, welcoming people. I've never had a bad game at NashCon other than when I was playing Tom. Like, literally any random person I rocked up to has always been amazing. It's friendly, it's welcoming, it's a great venue for it's a new venue this year, but it's a great venue. And like, from the TO to the other people who I know are going to be there, we'd welcome you with open arms, brother. And honestly, if you're going to be in the area, somebody else asked the question like, hey, I'm near one of these tournaments, can you just go and observe? Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Could just stop by, say hi, even if you don't end up signing up, which I would say, sign up, get in. It's fun. Like, I think people get overwhelmed or scared by tournaments. They think it's like some really serious thing.
Sure.
It's not. Okay, like, sure, the top 5 tables are probably like some pretty serious people playing pretty serious Warhammer.
Yeah.
Every other table is people having the best time, joking, laughing, enjoying it, rolling dice, just really having a great weekend. You go to hang out with people. You don't, like, most people, that's the real reason. So, at any rate, that's what I'll say to that. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, I think that's it for the news.
Yeah, right on. All right, let's get to some pick of the week.
Okay.
So, Tyler, you go first because you have just a slew as always.
I do. Yeah, I'm getting by on a technicality with my limit of 3 here because the Honest Wargamer just counts as 1. So that's that works. All right. Cubic Shenanigans podcast with Dan and Brendan. They're back. They're starting their deep dive into 3.0. It's going to be a 3-parter. For some reason, they're going to have me on the last part, talk some nonsense. They just had their first one going over the core rules, I think a little bit on quite a bit on the GHB and the FAQ. So that just went up. Definitely check that out. Those guys always do a really good job of, kind of covering everything, particularly through a competitive lens. And then the Dias Cast. So this was a new BatRep channel. I never heard. Have you heard of this place, Vince?
No.
This channel? Have you seen any of their stuff? The Dias Cast? Yeah. They had a really great BatRep with Trees and Soulblight. So they were, good list, very well played. It was really awesome to see somebody play. It was actually, I think, his first time playing Sylvaneth in 3.0.
Nice.
Yeah.
In 3.0. Okay, fair.
Yeah, 3.0. Yeah. But no, he was rocking it. Yeah, he had a Larial. I don't think he had the Warsong Revenant yet. But anyway, it was an excellent battle report.
Nice.
Highly recommend it in terms, if you want to see what Soulblight can do, what Sylvaneth can do in 3.0, it's one of the best that's out there right now. And yeah, really, really cool guys.
Awesome.
And then Rob and gang have been killing it this week, as usual. They're just knocking out a lot of amazing content this year. Like it's just week after week of top-notch content. So this week we had a show on a proposed AoS 3.0 tournament scoring system that Rob has come up with. And I don't know if we want to get into the details right now because it's a bit of a long conversation in of itself.
It's too long of a conversation, but I mean, Rob gets into it eventually. They meander around quite a bit as per usual, but that's what you're signing up for with the Honest Wargamer.
Yeah.
But yes, it's interesting, and I'll link there's a blog as well that has it laid out. If you don't want to listen to the whole show, there's a blog. The show is linked down there. All the links Tyler's mentioning is there. I'll link the blog after the show. So
yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I think it's a healthy discussion, and as we've had a lot of that going on in the community, that we've got to kind of figure out what the scoring system is going to look like, or variations of different scoring systems are going to look like for 3.0 here. And then, yeah, finally, just today, he had a AoS 3 faction reaction on Sylvaneth as well. That was with Matthew Davies. So Matthew has done the best, at least statistically, based on JP's data
Hmm.
of anyone in the world over the last year with Sylvaneth. He's actually stuck to it and got a lot of games in TTS. He got some games in before we got into the COVID lockdown, and definitely really raising that 38% that we were at on his shoulders alone. I think he was at like a 72% win rate on JP's data. So he definitely knows what he's talking about, for the most part. I'm joking. I think there were a couple of things that kind of set me off in the conversation. In general, it was amazing. I think he had a lot of he's really in on Alariel, which is cool to hear.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people being in on her. Yeah, just because of like actually what she can enable, but she has to be used carefully. She's not like some of the other things we'll talk about today, where you can just be like, "Har," haha. It's just whatever.
Right.
Deal with this.
Right.
She's not that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I got drove me a little insane when they got into the discussion about the new Awakened Wildwoods, and like Matt was talking about how he's got like 27 woods in his collection, and he brought 15 to Rob's event, I guess whenever it was, and he got 6 games in, and like 3 out of the 6 games, 15 trees apparently were not enough because of the new woods that allow you to spam them like crazy.
Yeah, just spamming them everywhere, just dropping little woods. Yep.
Yeah.
Just pooping woods.
Which I'm sure, some of the players, we love that, but that's not exactly, I think, going in the right direction for an army, for a faction, and generally what we would want to see on the tabletop. So yeah, but anyway, it's a good discussion in general, though.
Sure. All right, rock on. Mine is very simple. I've got one pick. My good buddy, friend of I don't want to say the show. He's never been on this show, but he's been on this channel many times. But Trevarian, awesome miniature artist, truly amazing painter, and an all-around wonderful dude, put out a new video today about how he quits. But what he quit was his normal job, and he is now doing YouTube full-time. I'm very excited for him. He's really one of the best miniature painting teachers that I know. His video is very funny, by the way. He there's some really good humor in there. He pokes at Squidmar a little bit, but in a fun way.
Nice.
And I wish him all the best. If you're not already subscribed to Trevarian, you absolutely should be. He's a wonderful, wonderful miniature painting teacher, and I'm excited to see what kind of content he's going to be putting together. And since I know he's got a little more free time, I'm going to try to bother him to start doing a show together again. We can get some more myth busting happening, so that's a really fun one to do, but we'll see. Okay, so best of luck to him. Go check out his channel. Go give him a sub. Tell him Vince sent you over here. He's so wonderful. So there you go. Cool, and man. Learn how to paint everything you want. All right. So with that, that brings us to the end of the pick of the week. I can see already, by the by, that we are going to have a challenge this week with the likes. I can see that because there's already 3 people who are like, they read the show's title and they were like, nope. They hit that thumbs down button. We haven't even talked about the topic yet. So if you're out there watching, give a like. Hit that button. Hit like. We really appreciate it. It helps counter out the negative Nancys who don't even want to hear some reasonable discussion about fun. Okay. All right. So, with that, let's talk hobby time. Did you get any games in there, Tyler?
Yeah, we had a couple of new players that showed up last night. So I got a little learning game in with one of them. He knew something about 3.0 because he brought Skaven. He had like 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, 6 Storm Fiends, 3x20 Rats, some Giselles, lots of goodies. Yeah, so turns out Unleash Hell with Skaven is definitely a thing in 3.0. Who knew? Particularly Warp Lightning Cannons. That was a lot of fun, rolling a 2-up when I'm charging in.
There's nothing better than dropping the 1 or the 2 on the die. It feels so good. You drop that 1, you're just like, it's 12 mortal wounds. I'm going to roll this in a second to see if my cannon blows up, but it's 12 mortal wounds. Just deal with that.
Yeah. He was, I did my job last night. He had a good time, kicked my butt. So job accomplished for the new guy.
Awesome.
Yep.
Wonderful. I'm taking a little break from our normal miniature wargaming hobby
Mm.
because I've been painting a lot of like models recently. Obviously, I finished up a bunch of stuff, shared some of that out this weekend, but I wanted to do something just for me. So I'm painting this beautiful bust that was given to me uh,
Ah.
by John Ninus, by Ninjon, when he came to
Mm.
visit me. And this is one of my favorite busts ever in the history of the world. He did not know that. He was
Mm.
just like, he picked something that he thought I would love. It's one of my absolute favorites. And so we're doing a fun, like, dawn breaking kind of color scheme there, as I think shows pretty strongly, even through this
Yeah.
crappy camera,
Mm.
of the light. And I really love her. I think I do not know who sculpted this because I'm bad at remembering sculptors' names, but they did an absolute magnificent job. And she's coming along nicely. And it's really just this for me. This is just a nice relaxation project before I get into the inevitable deluge of beginning the Ratcast. So
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
I needed something that was more zen and calming before
Right.
I got into just unending
Zenny?
non-metallic metal for days and weeks and
Yeah.
years. So
How many hours did you spend on that first one you put up?
it's like 30 hours probably.
Oh my lord.
So I mean, I'll get quicker with the other ones,
Sure.
but it's gonna
Right.
be lengthy.
Right. I did. Did you get the images that I sent you? If not, we can do it next week
Uh,
on my friend's army.
I did not. I'm sorry, I didn't
Okay,
pull
no
them.
worries. We'll get it. So Chad, we're gonna get you next week, buddy.
All right.
My friend Chad, he's been working his butt off for like, I mean, he's a slow painter. He knows it, but
Were
for
these
like
in
the
the
last,
email you sent me? Is that where they were?
yeah. It's this gorgeous Lumineth army, and yeah, I just wanted to, but we can do it next week. It's no big deal. Wanted to
Well,
give him
my
a
friend, I did not realize that this was the case. I'm sorry. But here,
no
let's
problem.
do this.
Okay.
Ta-da! There they are.
All
Yep.
right.
We're going to cover over everything. There you go. Get small. Okay, so we'll just scroll through. You said this is your buddy Chad?
Yeah, Chad Graham.
Well, there you
So
go.
he,
Is this his
you
first
probably don't,
army?
no, he had done, I don't know if you remember, it's been years now. He had done the Daughters of Cain army, kind of in a similar color scheme, your favorites, purples, teals.
Right.
And yeah, I think he did the Daughters back in 18, I guess it would have been 18, 19. But yeah, this is his first army since then.
Nice.
About a year and a, pretty much started working on it when the box set dropped. And
Beautiful.
just, yeah.
Oh, you love to see it. I mean, I don't love to see a Lumineth army ever, but no, that's great.
This
Beautiful.
is friendly
Beautiful work.
Lumineth here. Look at all those Stone Guard.
Yeah,
Very
it's
friendly.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I got a game in this weekend as well. Had a fun
Nice.
time. Actually took out Slanesh. Didn't hate it.
Okay, what'd you have?
I didn't use anything big. I'm not allowed to use any of
Okay.
my fun toys in that army anymore.
All right.
I took like Sinessa and Sigvald and a Lord of Pain and the Bladebringer on Exalted Chariot, and then like 10 Twin Souls and 5 whatever, and then Hellstriders. Yeah, it was fine. Sinessa was interesting. I learned that Manfred's real scary. Don't mess around with him. He's like a
Yeah.
boss. He's a super boss. I don't actually know how I'd kill him in normal play.
Sure. Have a way to burn him down or
Yeah, I mean, like, 'cause you got to take him out at range, or like get lucky.
yeah.
And the funny part is, he did end up dying in the game,
Mm.
but that was because the opposing player, and I forgot this rule too. I was trying to keep in mind all of my stuff and running new things like Sinessa and stuff.
Right.
And I forgot that Manfred has the armor of Morgar or whatever whatever it's called. I don't know, something like that.
Oh yeah,
That,
that
like,
minuses the damage.
Yeah, you ignore the first wound every
First,
phase.
Right.
He never applied that, so there's no way I
Oh.
would have actually killed him because
Right.
I got him on the screws through a bunch of just shenanigans, and yeah, he would have lived. Anywho, fun times. Soul Blight's for real, and Manfred's real scary. So there you go. Yeah, cool. But I will say I didn't hate playing Slanesh. There was some fun there. How about that?
We're turning it around.
That's
Give
right.
yourself another
It wasn't
2
the
months.
worst thing ever.
Right. We're gonna.
I
Yes.
miss all of my toys that I really liked to play since I wanted to. I like playing multiple Keepers of Secrets, but that's just
Sure.
that's a non-starter now. They're so terrible on anything except a summon. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically been the case with the new book before 3.0.
right,
I mean, they were pretty bad in that book. Yeah.
but that's okay. There's still other fun toys. I like Sigvald a lot. I mean, he's so
Oh,
fun
yeah.
and gorgeous and hilarious to play.
Yeah.
All right, so Tyler, my friend, are you ready to talk about what's wrong with
Let's do it.
AoS 3.0?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so let's bring up our other presentation
I
here.
feel like we can do this in under 2.5 hours. I
Yeah,
think
I
we're
think
off
so.
to a really good start right now.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Look
We're
at this,
doing great over
33
here.
minutes.
Okay, so welcome everybody. In case you skipped to this point on the timestamps in the future, hello. So we are going to start with this preface, okay, which is AoS 3.0 is a really great game. I cannot play it enough. So I've got 6 games in now. I think that's right.
Yep.
6. Yeah, I think 6 games now. And I really have had an amazing time with every army I played. And so people understand, I've been trying to play through all my armies just to get a good sense of it. So I've gotten like 2 in with Skaven, 1 with Giants, 1 with Slanesh, 1 with Slaves to Darkness, and 1 with Ironjaws.
I was waiting for it.
There we
Where's
go.
the... Okay, we got it.
There's my 6.
We got him in there.
It is 6 because if I thought about what I've actually played, it would click.
Somebody asked me the other night, how many armies does Vince have? And I got up to like 13 and I just stopped.
I have 19 armies, but one of them is 40k, so I have 18 AOS armies.
Gotcha. That's not
the
too
answer.
bad.
No, perfectly reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Now, 2 of those have been retired permanently. Okay.
Yeah.
Because 2 of those are 13,000 points of Tomb Kings
Ooh.
and 6,000 points of Bretonians. So that are now over in the museum room on shelves where they belong.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Such is life. That's why when people are like, oh, GW made me lose some figs or something, I'm like, 13,000 painted points of Tomb King. So,
Yeah.
just saying.
From your cold, dead bare hands.
Yes, correct. I mean, I had, I really am curious if I have more Ushabti than anyone in the world. Because I have 27 painted Ushabti. And I want to know, do I have the most of anyone in the world?
Good lord.
Could be. Anyways, what's the 40k army? Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights is the 40k army. There you go. So anyways, this game is really great. I can't play it enough. I really love it. Now, that being said, there's stuff in here that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, the game is not perfect. Okay?
Yep. We're both on record thinking it's the best edition.
Best edition so far. Totally agree with that.
Legitimately is, yeah.
Will defend that all the way down.
Yeah.
That being said, just like in work, like in my professional career as well, we have very successful releases and things like that we do because I oversee products. You know what we do after every one of them? We go over every release and we say, what did we do wrong? What can we do better? What do we want to change for the next time? Yep. Always improving. So that's what this is. Okay? Hey, what's up, Facehammer? He said he feels the pain. Absolutely. I suspect the army going away, yes. All right, so... And then Twinart said, how much of my Tomb Kings would work as Soul Blight? Probably quite a bit. Yeah, I think so. Anyways, that's I'd have to rebase them all, so that's never going to happen. Okay.
By the way, Facehammer, I appreciated you counting Simonath as an elves army in today's video. That's very kind of you.
As an elves army.
That's what the show said.
Sure. It's kind of like the lost, the black sheep of the family that no one wants to talk about, right? They're all like, oh, look at them over there. They're adorable. Not like us here with our unkillable packs of murder elves and soul-stealing eels and, everything else. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna jump to the summary slide here, and we're gonna go ahead and frame this all up, Tyler.
Cool.
All right. So AoS 3, I think it's an amazing game, but there are challenges. Now we're gonna dive into each of these in detail, but here are mine, and it is the new player learning curve. I think it's high. It is a shallow learning curve. In other words, it takes a long time to climb. There are the enhancement section. Boot it, rewrite it. It's bad.
Hmm.
There are lots of choices. There's a high memory tax. I think we need to have a whole conversation about hero monsters in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 3+ base save and what that means in the new world. The challenge of undercosted gods or godlike characters, Archeon, Gotrek, and Marathi being your three chief offenders, and terrain. These are kind of going to frame what we're going to talk about today. Now, there's a TBD section we've got as well, which is just like, we don't know it's a problem, might be fine, but it's interesting. You got your, it's got your feelers up a little bit, right? Of we need to watch this. Could be perfectly okay. Could be a challenge. And that's seismic shift, the army's any one army's ability to complete battle tactics, unleash hell or redeploy, and then the lower objective count increasing the value of Death Star high power pieces. So, what do you think of my list?
Yeah, so obviously we did a little bit of pregame this week, and yeah, generally aligned with all of this. There's a few asterisks. We talked about how we're not sure about Nagash yet. He's one we might want to talk about a little bit.
Yep.
And keep an eye on. Yeah. But yeah, in general, I think it's a pretty good list. There's also some pieces we were discussing, like Knights of the Empty Throne Vanguard, or Vanguard in general, with all of the different, they're like mini Archeons rolling around in terms of combos and synergy opportunities that you can get with them. Yeah. I know you weren't too keen on the notion of 9 Storm Friends.
Yeah.
But, there's like this smaller set of powerful single units that we have access to right now. I'd say it's the smallest that we've ever had. And, like 9 Storm Fiends are absolutely, in my opinion, one of the top examples of that set.
There's also the larger subject of just reinforcing in general and what that's meant. Like, we lost... One of the things we lost, like, reinforcement as a whole is problematic. I didn't put it in here because it probably deserves a more nuanced discussion than to say it's outright a problem. But it's certainly challenging for some armies in particular. Like, I think it's going to come up. We're going to talk about reinforcement a lot in the context of the armies where it really matters. Like, there's some armies where it's just irrelevant. Like, your reinforcement limit of 4 and what it is, you're just like, it's fine, I'm swimming, I'm happy. I probably don't even use all 4 of my choices. Literally 0% of my list building has changed.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's certainly my Slaanesh. I cannot picture the world where I would have, where and that's probably most Slaanesh armies, where you would ever need to use those points. Right? All of them. Okay. And, but there are some armies that are really hit by this, right? The other one I didn't put in here is coherency. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's because, 1, we've beaten it to death on the show. But also, 2, because, again, it's the same thing. To me, reinforcements and coherency are so army-specific in how they affect. Like, the meta rules of the game might be fine. You know what I mean? Like, they're not problematic in and of themselves. But there are some... It's more like how they get reflected through the prism of problem is they become problems in certain armies, right? If your army relied really heavily on, like, 6 packs of 50 mil 1 wound infantry or something like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a terrible challenge, and it's awful. Like, those coherency rules are garbage for you, right? And so what we sort of... And so those two things, believe me, they're not here. I hear you, people that have issues with them. We're going to talk about them. They're going to show up in the context of the armies, because we're going to start doing some army shows here in the weeks to come, where we start deep diving into particular armies. And we're going to start talking about things like, is reinforcements a problem for this army? Did they get unnecessarily beaten up by that? Is coherency a problem beaten up by that? Right. And so it's like, that's where it's going to manifest itself. Right.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, just to be clear, I am a fan of on the whole, personally a fan of the reinforcement unit rule. And I like that we have as far as I can tell, the smallest set of sort of Death Star type single units. 30 Iron Drakes, 30 Sentinels, 9 Storm Fiends. Like, it's a relatively small set that's out there. And particularly the ones that can take advantage of Unleash Hell, with the power projection is where it can really turn on. Of course, Vanguard, 6 Vanguard are part of that. But anyway, I like that. I think that's probably net healthy, net positive for the game.
Yeah, agreed. Sporadicus makes an interesting point. I've always had trouble setting the stage during pregame, that being stuff like terrain, battle plans, etc. Feels like there's no clear guide, and game setup is scattered throughout the book. That's really interesting. Any ideas or resources for a quick start guide to get a game going quicker? So, yeah, where Tyler is working on something, and I know Rob is working on something to help with like terrain setup and getting you a good set of sort of visuals for that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I think that can go. I'll tell you how I will give you the straight answer for how I do choose the scenario. When they used to have the scenario cards for the old limited edition GHBs, because I'd always get that, so I had the cards. I would fan them all out and hand them to my opponent and go pick one. And whatever he flipped, we played. Now what I do is I get out a D12 and I roll it. And I'm just like, you okay with this? And if they're like, yeah, that's cool, I feel like that tonight, I'm like, great, that's what we'll play.
Yeah.
And so like that's it.
Yeah, that's basically the official way to do it as well.
Yeah. I just like I roll a straight D12, and then and then as far as terrain goes, I usually just set it up on the table and I look at my opponent and go, "Are you okay with that?"
Right.
And if they are, then fine. If not, hey, change it how you want. Okay, cool. Let's roll for sides. Done.
Yeah,
easy.
Definitely.
Matthew Abbott said, "Our Storm Fiends battle line. How are we getting to 9, 6, and 3? We're getting to 9 because they are battle line in Scryer. When you have all Scryer units and or a Master Clan or Scryer General. So there you go. Okay, so this is what we're going to dive into tonight. Let's get into it. All right. So, and as we begin this, yeah, feel free to hit like if you like things that are on this list, or don't. Hit that like button. All right, problem areas. Here we go. I really like this piece of art, by the way. I always try to find fun art in these presentations. I just really like this piece of art.
I had no idea where this was from.
It was from the launch of AoS 2, ironically.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But it's a cool piece of art. Anyways, all right, new players. And these slides are really just here to like to facilitate the discussion between Tyler and I. And I certainly expect the chat to weigh in here heavily. New players have the largest challenge in the history of AoS. If you asked me to identify what I think the single biggest problem area is in AoS 3.0, it's for new players.
Yeah.
Okay. The rest of us who are all experienced and have been playing for a while, look, some of this is annoying, but we'll figure out a way to navigate. Okay, like we'll navigate it. We will. If we've been here this long, we're going to stick around and figure this out too. All right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's so much more going on now than 2.0.
Yeah. So I'm going to real quick here, and I might do an actual video on this, like a short, quick video with some slides or something on this, because I really think this is something that deserves its own breakout.
Okay.
But here's my basic advice. If you are teaching a new player, okay, then the goal is cut. Cut. So there are things you are just not going to use that you don't need. Okay? You don't need them to learn the game. So if I was teaching someone new, we would not use battalions. Don't need them. They're not necessary. We're cutting everything not necessary.
Right.
Okay? Battalions, straight out. Grand strategies, those are out too. Battle tactics, gone. Okay? All of that I'm jettisoning. I will explain to them, hey, there are these things. They're usually additional ways you score points. We're not going to worry about that. Right? What we're going to play is just the straight scenario, and we're going to score the victory points for the objectives, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay? That's all you got to worry about. I would jettison all of that stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay? Because it just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
There's so much more information that they have to digest. There's no reason to make them also digest those. They're just going to choke on it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was running into that last night. It was just too much going on for a new player.
Yeah. Oh, mysterious terrain. Thank you. Yeah, there's no way that's getting in. That's definitely gone. I didn't even mention it because I was just assuming it was gone. Nope, that's straight out, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if it doesn't need to be there for the game to function, which what you need is two armies, right? War scrolls for those units,
Mm-hmm.
and some kind of scenario to play in. And then I would start with smaller games, like don't go to a 2K game to begin with. We
Yeah.
have rules for like 750, 1000, 1500 in the core book now. Just use those. Use those smaller points values. They're fine,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're good.
right?
Yeah. No,
So
that's a good idea. Yeah, and I really like that.
keep it small, keep it
Mm.
simple.
Yeah, I wish I would have done that last night. That would have improved everyone's experience. Yeah, yes. Yeah, this is a huge issue right now. And tokens, I mean, we've talked about how critical tokens are going to be. Folks, definitely, if you haven't been using tokens, you're going to have to get used to doing that. I took your advice where I went out and got some erasable tokens.
Yeah, magnetic. So this is a
Yep.
thing that I talk about. This is what I use on my table. A lot of people
Mm,
order custom tokens. No offense to people who make those. That's fine. I like that. Uh, but like what I did is I went to Amazon and you can order tiny little fridge magnets that are like an inch by an inch and a half or some size near that
yeah.
that are dry erasable. So they're little tiny dry erase magnets, and you can get like packs of hundreds of them for
Mm,
like $8 or $9. And I just keep a couple very ultra like fine tip dry erase markers at the table.
yep.
When it's finest hour, I write finest hour, and then I just slide it next to the person. Then I have my finest hour written for the game, and it just moves over to the other heroes as it
Yeah.
goes. And you can write multiple
Mm,
bonuses on there. So I'm like +1 to hit, and then
mhm.
like any buffs that go on there, just scroll it down with my little dry erase marker, slide it behind the unit, easy peasy. And
Yeah, definitely.
we never forget stuff. It's super easy.
Yeah.
Those kind of little memory aids. Having a game aid cheat sheet, there's a lot of them out there floating around now. The one that we had made, I've seen some other
Mm,
ones out on the internet. That's just like the way to go. Have that little
right.
cheat sheet. When I've been taking people through 3.0, because normally a lot of people who come over from our club, I've taken them through their first games,
Mm,
right? And all I do is I set down the cheat sheet in front of them and say, we're going to walk through every phase in order. Okay,
mhm.
beginning of the turn, this is what you gain, right? I'm going first, so I'll get one CP, you get two.
Yeah.
We move into my hero phase. Both of our generals are alive. I get one CP, you get one CP.
Yep.
It's my turn. I'm going to do my heroic action. This is what I choose. Your turn. What would you like to choose? Okay, I will choose my battle tactic. Done. Right? Okay, here we
Right.
go.
Right.
Right? So,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, getting those reps in, kind of getting a checklist in your mind about, it's like a lot of all the time people are forgetting about rally. Sometimes I'll forget about
sure.
rally, just because it's part of the start of the hero phase, and yeah, I just kind of got to get a checklist and get that memorized, and it helps out tremendously.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, just using that cheat sheet makes things so much easier.
Yeah.
Um, and Sean said, "Do you have a link to the cheat sheet?" Yeah, I'll find one and throw it in the show notes.
Yeah, Sean, I think it's Austin Weird Boys, I believe, is the club name. You might be able to find
Yes,
it if you
yes,
just,
Austin Weird Boys. That's it. Yep, they have a
yeah,
great one.
yeah,
So yeah, check them out.
yeah.
But yeah, like I think with new players, they have a real learning curve challenge with this.
Hmm.
So the answer is don't push them. Keep it simple. Keep it small. Then you can eventually build in all those other things once they have it down. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Um, so this one's solvable, right?
Oh yeah,
It's solvable.
yeah.
This one's solvable by us because look, it's not a bad thing that all this stuff is here,
Mm,
right? Like I love that we're now active in both players' turns and we've got lots of
sure.
interesting choices to make. It means the game has a much higher ceiling on what you can learn and experience over time, but we have to accept
Mm,
that creates challenges for new players and then navigate that accordingly, right? And we have to be good gaming ambassadors when we bring other
yeah.
people into the game.
I mean, and it also raises the point about I imagine some folks feel that this is moving away too far away from the simplicity
Right.
of the original edition, and there's a huge amount to be said about the elegance of that original system with how simple it was. I mean, it had its own set of issues as well. There's trade-offs with just about anything, and that's certainly the case here. It's neither all good or all bad. I think I mean, that's a bit of a cop out of an answer, but like personally, I think we're still within the space of it's not yet feeling like it's overwhelmingly complex, that it's too much. But we are feeling it more because we're at the start of a new edition. You're having to get reps in, get comfortable with it. It's quite different than 2.0,
Right.
yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
How do you feel like in terms of the simplicity, complexity spectrum, thinking about that original edition compared to where we are right now? Where I don't know
Let
how
me
many
save
pages
it because we're going to talk about it in a minute.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
I am going to answer your question on a slide that's coming up in just a moment.
Awesome. Sounds good.
All right. Anything else we want to say on the new player conundrum?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Be a good ambassador. Keep it simple. Keep it small. Yeah. Cut stuff out. You don't need it to play the game. By the way, here's another just fun thing I'll share. You don't need that crap for your own home games either, even if you're not a new player. Just pointing that out. You can just decide not to use some of that stuff, and it's super fine. Like, if you don't like that stuff, don't use it. Who cares? Right? If you find them to be overtly complex, then cut them. There you go.
Yeah.
Right? So, there you go. Like, it's your game. It's your table.
Right.
So, just a point. It doesn't have to just be for new players that you keep it simple.
Sure.
Okay. Enhancements. That's misspelled. Enhancements. Now it actually says that thing. How did you not catch that spelling error, Tyler? No, it's fine.
That is, yeah. I mean, that should be on you, but that is probably on me.
It's on me. It's completely on me. Enhancements. It is a mess. This whole section is a mess.
Right.
I don't like it. Bullet to bone.
Pulling your soapbox up here.
Absolutely. Hold on.
Let's do it. Yep.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
This section is terrible. Straight out. There are 28 good sections in this book, or 28 sections in this book. There are 27 good ones. Okay? This is the one bad one. Because when I look at this, when I first read this, I didn't even know what any of this meant. The first time. I had to read this like 4 times to figure out what the heck all this was talking about. What does this all mean? The way they introduce this is just insane. Okay? Oh my god. Stop telling me my upload failed. I know. I don't care.
I definitely felt work incomplete.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
some good ideas, but incomplete.
What does this mean? Do unique characters get spell lores? How about universal lores? Can these be duplicated? How do I assign spell lores? What about my book lore? Does that mean I get to choose a spell lore and I get my book lore? If by assigning my book lore when my book tells me I get one, is that the spell lore assignment? If I have prayers, is that the prayer lore assignment? I guess I just have to put up with this upload failing. Like, is that what's going on? What in the heck is going on here? Why is all of this like this? Right? Yeah. What about mount traits and these other unique enhancements that they decided to mention up here in the top and then not give us a subsection on, leading to nonsense like the 8 Metal Crutcher list.
Right.
Okay. Now look, some of this was answered in the FAQ, but it shouldn't have to have been, because what was answered in the FAQ was the most basic of how does this work.
Right.
Right? Like, this section, they got pulled in by the romanticism of a mono system. Okay? They looked at all the stuff they're handing out to armies and said, hey, command traits, artifacts, all this different stuff we're giving armies. Don't these all kind of feel like they could be one thing? Shouldn't we just make a super term for these, right? And they got lured in by the mega system. This happens. I see this all the time in game design, where you watch an edition change. This is not an uncommon thing I've seen happen in games. Lots of games will do this over changes, right?
Oh, okay.
They'll try, like, this is a very common thing in the history of game design. People over an edition will introduce a bunch of stuff, realize there are similarities between them, right? And then try to create a super system to govern all of them.
Right.
And the problem is, whenever you do that, it just creates challenges.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I've probably had more questions locally about enhancements than anything.
Yeah,
over the last couple of weeks.
Give me 2 seconds here, people. I'm gonna fix something. I'm sorry. This is driving me crazy. Keep talking, Tyler.
Yeah, like one that was in the. By the way, if anybody has any frequently asked questions you want to send in, definitely get those in. We still got a little bit of time here. So I think it's aosfac@gwplc.com. I think I've got. Thank you to everybody. So I've been reaching out to different folks. I think we've got like 35 questions, good questions that have been sent in over the last week here. So, but no, like one on the list was invocations. If you attempt to summon an invocation, does that count toward your one prayer limit?
Right.
Maybe it might be in there. I just might have missed it. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that. If you can point me to where
it counts. They say you have to reference 2 different sections, but yes, because it says, does it count as a prayer? Or like, it does count as a prayer, hence it is your one prayer, because you use a prayer to summon an invocation. Like, an invocation is summoned by chanting a prayer, hence, yes.
Gotcha,
so like, you have to kind of do a little mental math there to put it together, but yes, it does.
Okay, yeah, because I know in 2.0, like Running Daughters of Cain, the Heart of Fury was and is an invocation, but it did not count toward your prayer limits in 2.0, and so I just wasn't clear on whether they changed that. Okay, so, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, what are your thoughts on, like, I'm on board with you about, like, it's a problem. It's incomplete. I mean, I don't want to, like, pound this to death, but I feel like, what are your thoughts on solutions for this?
Rewrite this.
I mean, we've got some obvious things, like, you've got a number of questions here that need to get answered. I think some of these questions have more or less already been answered. No uniques are not going to be able to take Flaming Weapon. They're not going to be able to take Universal Spell Lore. Presumably, that seems to be the case.
My honest answer is, it sucks that this is in the core book, and that this is going to be part of the core book for 3 years. Okay, like, because some part of this it has shipped. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what is my answer that I think is the right one? Rewrite this completely, and put it in the FAQ section as a download. Like, don't try to just minimally FAQ this and have, like, all these different references where I'm going into the core rules and then referencing back. And, like, eliminate the third sentence. Add this sentence to the end of paragraph 2, 27.3.5. Stop that.
Yeah.
Understand when you can no, like, at some point you've got to amputate. Okay? And this is time. Like,
yeah, because you're right. We're already getting
this
that
section completely.
Like I said, we just got that with mount traits in the FAQ, which has, is not exactly crystal clear from that FAQ on what we're doing. So no, that's a good point. But I don't see this as necessarily, like, it's a problem because the work's incomplete. It has holes, but from a first principles standpoint, is it fundamentally flawed?
No.
I don't.
No, you're asking me, is it conceptually bad? Is this a bad idea?
Exactly, conceptually.
No.
Like, I don't really see that. Okay, no. I didn't think that's what you're saying, but
no, this is a perfectly fine idea. This can completely work. It's just, we're going to need more.
Right.
Like, you didn't answer all of the questions. You didn't even come close. Right. And yeah, and Ben, like, War Scroll Builder doesn't set the rules. Like, War Scroll Builder does what Tony P interprets things to be, so, like, I'm not saying that that's wrong, that the FAQ won't rule that way, and even if it does, I don't care. It doesn't solve this section not mentioning it, right?
Yeah.
The fact that we had so many holes in this section is the problem. Right? So you can FAQ it till the cows come home, and I can have a 7-page FAQ on 2 pages of enhancements. That's no good.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, there you go. Like, I shouldn't have needed an FAQ to understand that I can't duplicate artifacts.
Sure. Right. Yeah, definitely.
That should have been baseline. In
Yeah.
here. There's a section.
Right.
It's right there. It's right there. See, it's 2733 artifacts of power.
Yep.
Right.
Just catching up on the comments a little bit. Yeah, Coach, I mean, like we talked about, it almost appears positive that no named characters are not going to be able to take universal spell lore, universal prayer scripture. And then there were some other ones here. Let's see. Simple with regard to kill team. Yeah, man, we're probably not the guys to ask about 40K.
Where was there a kill team question? Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, about, yeah, if we had any opinions on new kill team.
I mean, like, I'm glad they're making it more like Warcry. There you go. There's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't even checked it out yet.
And I love that we managed to make move in inches more complicated. That's funny. It's hilarious to me. I move 3 circles from now on.
Yeah.
That's how I will define all of my life. I move 3 circles.
There you go. Donnie, can you have 2 command traits? Nope. That's definitely clear. That's one thing they made very clear. We're still limited to 1 command trait, as always.
Yeah, that does say you can never pick more than 1 command trait for your army, and command traits can only be given to a general that is a hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at any rate, this section is just, like, I'm sorry. Again, 27 great sections in this book. I really do think they did a great job with the core rules. It's fantastic. This section, not good. I don't know how else to say it.
Right.
Like, I shouldn't be able to punch this many holes in it.
Sure.
And as you said, all the questions you get are enhancements. Do you have any questions in the comments I've gotten about enhancements?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And just people hitting me on Twitter or in my DMs or whatever. And I get it, by the way. That's not in any way a negative judgment on those people asking those questions. Not at all.
It's reflective of the confusion that's out there.
Correct.
Genuine confusion. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right? Like, when you have that much confusion around something, you missed.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. Right?
Coach, we talked about this. You're going to have to add a sarcasm tag or something, man. Like, I don't know what you want from me. You and I know each other by now. Like,
they don't get our Australian sarcasm. I love it. I just assume everything that the Australians are saying is generally to be taken not too seriously.
Yeah,
100%. That's why I love all the Australians, because they're serious, but they're never too serious. It's great.
Sure.
It's a wonderful country. All right. Yeah, so that's enhancements. I think we've beat this one to death. So yeah, rewrite this section, put it up as a PDF in the FAQs. Just do it. That's the answer.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey Doom, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, Doom's in there. Welcome back, brother. I don't know. I don't know if he already ran his half marathon or if he is running coming up. I don't remember what date.
Yeah, it's getting close.
But he's been doing his training, raising some awesome money for charity. Doom is a hero, and he's looking just svelte. I mean, he was always an attractive man. Let's make no bones about this. But my goodness. Whew.
Yep. Going up in that sexy robot ranking.
Absolutely. This is what's happening. All right.
Yeah.
Next item. Paradox of choice.
Yep.
Boy, is there a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let you start on this one.
Okay. Well, yeah. Play Sylvaneth or Lumineth at your peril at a tournament.
Sure.
I'll start with that, or any other army like that. Like, I don't think that I can play those armies at a tournament with my capacity for analysis paralysis in 3.0 right now.
Sure.
I got 2 test games in with the trees, and it was the most intense. And you've seen me play trees over the years at tournaments, and it was they're amazing fun to play, but it's just so much combinatorial explosion of possibilities and choices and yada 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 yada. It's like galaxy brain full on. So yeah, it's this is going to be a challenge for players like me, and certainly new players. The paradox of choice. Most game, even with Iron Jaws, I've been running into this. Where it's still it's like, okay, like you're thinking about, you're trying to think steps ahead. You think about when you're going to do Finest Hour. You're thinking about trying to set up for redeploy, or try to set up redeploy a turn ahead even. There's so much of that's going on now with regard to the paradox of choice. Yeah.
Yeah, what's important here is, I think, two things to say about the paradox of choice. Because, Chase in the comments said, paradox choice is easy. Just learn the game slowly, start with tiny games, slowly add rules, and then add some models with some new rules, etc. Keep this pace until 1500, 2000. I think that's fine. That doesn't eliminate the paradox of choice.
Yes.
Because it might for you, which is good if you're that type of person. But the paradox of choice is a thing that exists outside of the game.
Yeah.
Right? My office chair broke. I'll tell a quick story. My office chair broke. I needed a new chair. Okay?
Yep.
It was broken. I was still sitting in it, and it was literally wrenching my back every day. My back was hurting.
Yeah.
Okay? Just for sitting in this chair. It was making my life miserable. It took me like 3 weeks to order a new office chair.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because I would go and look at chairs online and read reviews and get caught up and be like, oh, well, that one's maybe... No, should I spend a little more money? I don't want to spend that much money.
Sure.
Is this one going to be... Maybe I can get the same quality for a little bit lower price. Let me read more reviews. Okay, what's this person say about it? Let me go read this other review over there. Okay, these people have okay, well, how long do they sit in it? How long is it good for? Okay, does this one have a warranty on it? And it took me 3 weeks to make that decision.
You Netflixed
That's the
yourself.
paradox of choice.
You Netflixed yourself over a chair.
Yeah. Okay. So again, it's not like, and like, I know what a chair is.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't a knowledge problem.
Right.
Okay. The issue was there was just so much out there that when the opportunity cost becomes so high for any choice you make, it can become paralyzing, right? That's what this represents.
Yeah.
And now that command abilities are limited to 1 per phase, right? Just like your spells, like everything else. And oftentimes some of these things are even competing for similar resources, right?
Yep.
The opportunity cost of making a decision gets higher.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody shoots at a unit. This happened over the weekend in my game. Somebody like the enemy shot at a unit. They had 5 shooting units on the enemy side.
Okay.
We were playing a teams game for this game. And the first unit shot at this one unit. And the player was like, do I want to all-out defense? Okay? Because they realized if they did it now, is he going to use his 4 units to also shoot at this unit?
Right.
The other 4. Or by him deciding to do that, will he then... Because he kind of didn't mind them shooting at this particular unit. They were kind of out there for that purpose.
Sure.
Right? But if he then makes the choice, does that then incentivize the player to pick something else, to shoot something he didn't want him to shoot at? Whereas if he doesn't use all-out defense, then maybe they'll just keep shooting this thing, and maybe I can weather it.
Yeah, there's so much more of a mini games happening now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's just a little microcosm of these decisions. Now, if you're the type of person who doesn't think too deeply about that, or just generally has like a lot of confidence in making your decisions, or super duper knows your army well, or is not playing a very complicated army, watching the LRL player play, like the LRL player in my group is a very sort of laid back guy, right? He doesn't take the game super seriously. Watching him play and just be like, sure, I'll use a penny on this one. This one gets all out defense. We call it using a penny when you use the +1 to save, by the way.
Ether quartz, yeah.
Yeah, when he uses an Aether Quartz, we call that using a penny. Because we always track it with pennies next to him, so.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can get caught up in this really easy, right? Which heroic action do I use? Which monster uses which monstrous action? Well, I've got 1 prayer. Which prayer do I use out of these that I know? I've got 1 or 2 spells, and I know, You know, with some of these characters, you might know more than that, maybe considerably more than that. You know,
Yeah.
like with Sinessa, who knows like all the lores completely. I'm like, this one character who can cast one spell a turn, and she knows
Uh-huh.
like 18 spells. I'm like, oh, this is helpful.
Right.
You know, so like the point is you
Mhm.
can just get into this position very easily where you're kind of like where you get yourself wrapped around the axle
Yeah, definitely.
because there's so much choice. And
Right.
look, it's this is simply the other side, the other edge of the sword, that is the game is more interactive,
Hmm.
right? Because you've got a lot more stuff to do in each player's turn, which is true. Like,
Yeah,
man, does this game feel more interactive. And I love
definitely.
it. Like you are dialed in on your opponent's turn. You're making
Hmm.
decisions. Stuff is
Mm.
happening. It feels good,
Hmm.
right? You're starting off, you're like,
No
okay,
more bathroom breaks.
I'm gaining a command point. I'm using a heroic action. I'm
Yeah.
dispelling their endless spell so they can't resummon it, right? I'm making
Right.
choices here, man. And if
Oh,
you know what you're
incidentally,
doing, it feels
yeah,
great.
yeah. Right. I think you said this came up in your game over the weekend, and I've heard. So a friend
Yeah.
of mine reached out to me like 48 hours ago, to Scott and I in one of our chat threads with this comment, and then like over the last 2 days, I've seen multiple people mention it that you often will want to dispel one of your key endless spells in your opponent's hero phase
Yes.
so that it gives you the chance to actually cast it in your hero phase.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things that if you're, not playing the game, like that's so counterintuitive to how we've experienced the game for so long now. But yeah, that was brilliant when I first heard that. It makes so much sense.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's just lots of little choices to be made. Here's the funny thing: I've
Yeah.
run priests a couple times.
Mm.
I don't think I've ever yet remembered that they had bless or smite.
Oh, sure. They've got curse and curse and
They've got
curse
curse. I remembered that.
and
That is
curse.
definitely remembered curse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to me because
Yeah.
I don't think bless is bad. Bless on 60 clan rats is pretty
Oh yeah.
awesome.
6 up word, right?
6 up ward.
Yeah. No, that's tasty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So at any rate, um, I think this is just one of those things that we've got to. This is sort of one of those pills we've got to swallow. Again, you can
Yeah.
somewhat declutter some of this,
Mm.
right? If you don't play with some of the elements like we mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
right? One of the things people labored over the most was battle tactics.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like that's going to be a point of just people going.
Yeah, you've got to, I mean, until you get to the point where you know them like in the back of your hand, you've got to have cards or the GHB
Yeah,
little pop outs that
tokens,
they
yeah, the
have
pop
for
outs,
us.
yeah, which are cool. I like
Yeah,
those little pop outs. They're pretty awesome.
definitely. And be looking at those in your opponent's turn while they're doing their movement, they're doing their thing. Yeah, look at those, try to figure out in advance what you're doing. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, as we're talking about it a little bit, I'm starting to get that feeling of, maybe in some cases it is getting a little bit too much. Again, at least, I mean, like my orientation with this game, for better or worse, I'm one of those players. Like I'm trying to make optimal decisions at any given time,
Right.
and trying to think ahead and like I'm trying to optimize optionality, and that quickly gets overwhelming. It did in 1.0 and 2.0, and now it's on a rocket ship in 3.0 with everything that we've got going on in terms of trying to sort of control the variables and set things up in advance. But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts. Any thoughts on potential solutions for? Well, I mean, do you feel like maybe we are getting again into, or maybe we can wait on that. If you've got another slide, we're going to start getting into that in terms. Are we
Yeah, well, I
getting
think we'll get
to
into it
a
because
little?
there's going to
Okay.
be we'll
Yeah.
summate at some point.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
It's
my
a good one to point
solution.
out, though.
I do have a very simple solution for this one.
Mm.
Okay. Uh, which is actually two options. One, actually play smaller games for your personal games. Like seriously, just play
Yeah.
smaller games. Play 1500-point games or 1000-point games.
Right.
Um, it just makes things easier.
Mm.
You have less units. You have less abilities. You have less nonsense. Right.
Right.
It's just true. Um,
Yeah.
the other option is make sure you play the army that's going to fit well with your psychographic capability to handle this analysis paralysis.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. That's a huge one.
All right, like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, if this is a thing that concerns you, go get them sons of Behemoth.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they have so little things you have to like. You're using basically 2 or 3 war scrolls. They're dead
Right.
drop simple. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
you need to remember about them. They're so easy. Like they're literally like you can write all their rules you need to remember on the back of a napkin, right? So you're
Right.
not thinking about your army at all. You're thinking only about this stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's easy. It's wonderful.
Yeah, the classic know thyself. That's a really good point. Yeah, like a good friend of mine, Bryce. Bryce was running Zinch for a year, 2 years, and just killing himself because it's a pretty complex army. There's a lot going on in Zinch, unless you're just like throwing Archeon into somebody or whatever with Kairos. And so yeah, no, he's completely gone the opposite end. He switched over to Sons of Bahamut and is having the time of his life playing Age of
Yep.
Sigmar 3.0.
Yep. It's great.
Yeah.
Sons of Bahamut, Iron Jaws.
Yes.
This is the road to happiness. I'm just telling you right now. Like, it's not just destruction armies. There are a couple others that can play like this as well, right? I don't want to make it seem like that. Avangori Soulblight is another one like that. Rules are very straightforward. You can make a great
definitely.
army. Still have a big unit. Like you can still have a big unit of zombies in there if you wanted or something, But again, simple rules.
Right.
Like there are just in other words, find the version of your army, or like not every army has this version, but many of them do. Like there's no version of Lumineth that fits this. Sorry, but a lot of armies have some version of the army that you can run that reduces complexity.
Yeah.
Right. I really think new Stormcast are going to fit into this, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I really, really love the way they wrote new Stormcast scrolls. If you look at like the stuff in Dominion,
I do too, dude. Yeah,
they're
there's a
so
lot of good
simple,
stuff there.
so straightforward. It's just like the only one in the entire box with complication is Yndrasta.
Andrasta, yeah. And
That's it. Everybody else is just like, this is what they do it. This is what they do it. This is what they do it. Remember nothing.
Right.
Yep. So yeah, there's versions of this stuff around. I've always thought Stormcast should have been way simplified. Like Sacrosanct was insanely overtly complicated, way too complicated to be a starter army.
Sure. Yeah.
It always should have been something like what we've seen out of the Thunderstrike stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, playing in Stormcast in 2019, pretty much for that full year, they were a nice, kind of comparing them to Iron Jaws and Sylvaneth, they're kind of a nice middle ground.
Yeah.
Like they're very adaptable to your psychographic profile, I think. You can definitely lean in to trying to make optimal decisions at any given time, or you can just play very casually with them. So yeah, no, I think they're great for that.
Yep, 100%. All right. Memory tax. This is a different thing. Okay?
Yeah.
The paradox of choice is when you are aware of all options before you and you are not sure which one to choose for fear of opportunity cost.
Yes.
Okay? Memory tax is needing to remember all of that crap.
Yes. Remember Hammer.
Okay?
Yep.
Most common phrase you're going to hear is, wait, I forgot this.
Yeah.
I was really trying to find a good meme for this one. I ended up picking this show that's a bad show, but it's a funny meme.
Sure, yeah.
I couldn't find a good meme image of the Daenerys forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Oh, right.
Okay, because that's what I wanted to use. So I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to say the meme.
All right.
Right. There's so much to remember, and again, a lot of what we talked about before with the paradox of choice is going to be true here as well. More complicated armies will suffer more from this because there's more you have to remember, right? Thankfully, this one does have a solution. That's pretty straightforward. Like making the right choice, it's hard to navigate those waters.
Yeah.
The memory tax, this has a solution. It's called the game aid sheet, like we've talked about already, and things like AoS reminders.
Definitely.
right?
Yep.
And you just read down your list.
Yep.
There is nothing wrong with using a reminder sheet. I want to normalize reminder sheets. It's like we
Totally.
were all traumatized in school that you're not allowed to have a book open when you take a test or something stupid,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like, no, you can just make a reminder sheet. It's cool. When I go to tournaments, I make a reminder sheet for my army of stuff I need to remember about it in every phase. I was doing this before AOS reminders existed.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, vast majority of players that I know, yeah, tournaments. That's what they do.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
write, like,
and
hero phase. Here's the things you need to remember, right? It's just the
exactly.
basics.
Right.
Do this thing, do this thing. Like with
Yeah.
Slanesh, it's like, don't forget to prick yourself on the feign,
Right.
so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget to summon in the movement phase, in the battle shock, total up your depravity. Just little things like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and get those reps in. Yeah,
Right.
just learn your army through and through. One of the values of playing an army for long stretches, just one army, long stretches of time. That's what I tend to do. Like excited, hopefully this new Iron Jaws battle tome is going to be a good one. Just going to run pure Iron Jaws for at least a year because I
Yes.
want to experience the pure melee army in
Yes.
AoS 3.0 and see how that goes. And just try to learn through and through what it's like to go whole hog on melee, and see if they can compete. They can hang out with some big dogs.
Right.
So
Yep. Yeah, and the key with reminder sheets is like, again, it's going to vary depending on the army whether you need it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
well, I'll say this: when I ran my Iron Jaws, I didn't have a reminder sheet with me because I didn't need it.
sure,
Right?
right.
Like, there just wasn't that much going on.
Yeah,
It was like I could easily hold that in my head. You
definitely.
know,
Yep.
and it was very straightforward. And I'll say when I've played a lot of armies, like I will say it varies like army to army how much tax I feel this, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And playing the I notice a difference in the army. I also notice a difference in my comfort with the army. So like Skaven, actually, you have quite a lot of stuff going on. But I've played Skaven so much, it's so internalized at this point that
Sure.
that I don't tend to run into the memory tax very much, right? Because it's just embedded in my mind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's not true for every army. Like when I ran the slaves army, and I've got all these different like spells and abilities I can trigger and stuff like that going on. That was
Right.
very different, right?
Sorry, Yukon melee. Is that melee? There you go.
Melee.
He's
Nope.
yeah.
Now we're pronouncing it melee. That's what you get, Huey. Now it's melee.
Oh goodness.
Uh,
That's two over these 8 weeks. The first one was plastic crake, because nobody told me that CRAIC is apparently a term that's pronounced crack in Australia or wherever.
Gotcha.
And
We're either gonna
yeah, it
go
was
melee, melee. You can choose. I don't care. It's all fine. Or rope it. Those are your choices.
there you go.
My reference is Super Smash Brothers Melee, where the game shouts melee at you at the beginning of it. So that's
Nice.
the game wouldn't be wrong. They wouldn't lie to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this one again is answerable, which is use the AOS reminders, make yourself your own little reminder sheet, something like that.
Yeah.
It's the answer. Don't try to feel like you've got to keep it all in your head for some kind of weird bravado. You're just gonna
Right.
forget stuff. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, totally.
Plus, the best part is you just need to make the sheet once. Like, just once. You make it one time, and you're done forever. You can just hold that with your army.
Right.
It's easy. So, it's not like a huge investment of time. All right. Very good. Hero monsters. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Now, we're
This is
going to
the thing.
keep the gods out of this for a moment.
Sure.
Okay? Because they get their own special category.
Right.
Hero monsters, especially those with a 3+ save and high bravery, become very hard to shift. And in fact, these next two are going to just be, they're almost interlinked, right? Because you've got hero monsters here. And then the next section, I'm just going to flip to it real quick, is the 3+ save. Okay?
Yep.
The abundance of
And
+1 to save means many units are now just basically rend proof. If you like 2 plus tough, this is a great addition.
look at
P.S.
that
Bring
beautiful
mortal
human
wounds.
being. Ah,
Yes.
he's so friendly looking.
He really is.
Oh, it's the best smile ever.
So,
I mean,
uh,
I love Negaduck too, though, just as much. But
sure. Let's. So I want to. These two are kind of linked. They're two separate items, but I think they're inexorably linked, right?
yep,
Because here is my supposition for you, Tyler.
okay,
Okay. So, here is my thesis statement. By shifting all rerolls to save in the game, in a large part, not all, but vast majority,
mm,
or reroll ones or whatever, from that to +1 to save, plus introducing new and additional ways to get +1 to save.
yep,
Even though +1 to save is capped at only +1, i.e., you can only get one better than what is
yep.
printed on your sheet, hence the 3+ save being 2+ stuff. That's the joke, right? We're just going to sit here with Doug. He's co-hosting with us now. This is going to be really funny to him if he watches this later, because I don't think
Sure.
he's watching right now. And so, rend, unless exorbitant, is
Yes.
now basically worthless. Because it will do nothing except erode phantom bonuses they have. Okay?
Okay, so that's your broad thesis statement.
My thesis statement is, in many armies, you can gain so many +1s to save so easily that rend, especially rend 1 and rend 2, is worthless.
Okay.
Because all it's doing is chipping away their extra ghost numbers.
Sure. Right. Yep.
Right? You haven't actually moved them.
Yeah.
The number of times in the games I've played where people have been like, I'm rend 1, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm still 1 better than my save. I have +2.
Yeah.
Like, getting +2 to save is nothing. It's nothing. It's incredibly easy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Rend 1 might as well just say rend 0 now.
You ready for my response?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I agree with you and I disagree with you.
Okay.
So I agree that the nature of how you are using rend has changed, and the baseline value of rend has changed, meaning you are now scrambling to find -2, but really you're looking for -3, or you're just simply looking for mortal wounds, particularly ranged mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Okay. The utility, the purpose of rend has changed in the sense of flamers are now no longer going to burn down, name your favorite toy, Manfred's, anything with a 3+ save. They're not burning that down.
Nope.
Flamers are going to be used for chaff. Things with, at worst, a 4+ base save, ideally a 5+ or 6+. I was going through the 25 or so factions that we've got, and we still have half, a little less than half of the factions in the game that generally don't have access to great armor.
Sure.
Like Daughters of Cain are widely considered a top tier army that, yeah, they've got Hagnar and they've got they got Marathi, but generally speaking, they don't have great armor. And there's quite a few of those factions. Soulblight Gravelords, they've got the Blood Knights, but they've also got a lot of zombies and skellies and blah blah blah.
Sure.
So yeah, so that would be the starting point. That I think that it's kind of an and both, an agreeing and a disagreeing in how you phrased your thesis.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And my answer is, at the same time, right? This 3+ save problem, now let's return to our previous slide, gets magnified in its challenge when you're dealing with hero monsters, significant hero monsters. We've mentioned Manfred already being one, but there's lots of people who fall into this list, right? If you're a hero monster with a high bravery on a 3+ base save, like not cheating your way into it because you already have +1 on your sheet. Now, it has to say your save characteristic is 3 base, right?
Yep.
Especially if you also happen to have an after save.
Sure.
Okay? Which, by the way, exists in multitudes.
Yeah,
right?
Frost Lords,
Sure.
and sure, quite a, yeah. I mean, some of the like,
All death.
you're right, right.
All death because they all have an aftersave built into them. Even if it's only 6
Yeah,
up, it's an aftersave, right? Yeah, sure.
yeah,
Sure. The Anointed on Phoenix,
right.
whatever.
Yeah.
This stuff's around, right?
Mm.
Um, you're just going to be like, it is going to take an amount of combined firepower that not many things in this game can produce to bring
Yeah.
you down, right? Either
Yeah.
an overwhelming amount of mortal wounds, or like your 9 storm friends we mentioned earlier,
Right.
right? Yes, as Hawo said, anyone who can equip Amulet of Destiny. Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Hawo, for the obvious.
Right.
Much
Yeah.
appreciated. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like if you're on a 3 up as a hero monster, you're going to 2 up like that.
Mm. Yep.
Because you have access to all out defense. You have access to best day ever. You're a likely target for Mystic Shield. And any other thing in your army. If you're in Slaves of Darkness, you have 8 different versions of getting +1 save.
Right.
That's not an exaggeration, by the way. That's a real number.
Yeah. And potentially a way to get a ward on top of that,
Sure.
like even a 5+ ward. Yeah.
Yep. And then if you're also high bravery, it's like, oh, a couple wounds got through. All heroic recovery. I'm back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Like, yeah, you chip damage, range chip damage is not going to get the job done.
No.
It's not, like trying out 3 bows in one of the Kurnoth games just for the heck of it. Which incidentally, that was one thing that Matthew did talk about, that he was seeing some value in 6 bows. But yeah, like 3 bows are not going to get the job done in terms of any meaningful damage to a hero monster that can do D3 heal or Emerald Life Swarm or whatever is going on. Yeah. So no, it's definitely matched my experience so far, like with the cabbages.
Sure.
I told you I've been running a lot of double cabbage, and one, of course, got the 5-up ward, Amulet of Destiny, and the other is the full-on beat stick.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
And it's like the beat stick might go down because he gets overwhelmed.
Exactly.
The defensive guy is just like he's living and laughing.
Right. Yeah.
Having a great day.
There have been, a number of games that have turned on my opponent's inability to bring them down in sufficient time or in sequence. Like there are certain periods in a game where you've got to do something or the game's going to tilt against you. And that's happened a lot, with those double cabbages where they just can't quite do it. Now, Skaven, on the other hand, with like Warp Lightning Cannons and yada, 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 they could care less because they're just burning me off the board.
Oh, look forward to the Skaven show in a few weeks, everybody. We're going to talk about why Skaven have to deal with none of these problems. They're great.
Yeah.
They're great. They're like foundationally one of the best setup armies for 3.0.
We've talked a lot over the years about the crap in the front, party in the back, and I feel like that's writ large 3.0 with Skaven this edition.
Sure.
Like that's what it's all about. All of these scenarios with 3 objectives in the middle of the board, and round 3, one of them's potentially going away, and Skaven's just having a good old time with the crap in the front that's scoring and burning you off the table.
Oh, they're the mullet of armies right now. Yeah, they're ready to rock. we're back to like the good times. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's serious. It's a great day to be a rat. So.
Right.
Anyway.
Like how much of this is a problem with regard, like writ large a problem with regard to these 3+ base save hero monsters in particular, but of course we can also expand it out to 3+ Varanguards. There's some other units we could probably figure out, that could get up to that 2+ save. Stormcasts are going to have some of that, and Annihilators do. I mean, I think like the Annihilators.
The basic Vindictors run a 3-up. Your basic frontline dude.
Yeah, totally. Like, so you could get 15 Vindictors. Mm-hmm. Like that sounds like pretty damn good units.
Well, especially if like Yndrasta's around, restoring 1 back to the unit every turn. So,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're just constantly getting 1 fed back into the unit, it's
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Autumn Lotus. I wouldn't go so far there. He said Mulder is still the big sad. Don't worry, buddy. No. I am high on Mulder right now. They made some changes recently with Mulder that are stupid good. You can do work. That's all I'll say. Skaven show. All right.
Right.
Keep going.
Right. Yeah. So this is one of the first things that we talked about when we saw this new edition and that show we did, that 3+ base save is going to be an absolute thing in AoS. Now, we've also discussed like that acid test I was mentioning to you about how are we looking as we get into 3.0 with regard to rebalancing the value of range damage relative to control, sort of mobility, and then melee. It's like, let's say our 4 buckets or our 3 buckets with control and mobility in 1 bucket. How are we looking? I think we're in a better spot than we were certainly in the last 6 months of 2.0. It was a mess, as we know, I think, with 2.0 and the range damage and what it was doing to this game.
Yep.
This is
we
helping.
accidentally solved some of the ranged problem through the fact that ranged tends to often be neg1. Like the range that was doing a lot of work tended to be rend 1. Now, that's not true for all. The real abusers were Sentinels and Doc bow snakes who don't care about hit and are always just mortal wounding with their shots, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the value of something that shoots and doesn't do mortal wounds actually went way down.
Yes.
Because it's just too easy to be highly resistant to that damage.
Right. For your devastating pieces.
Right. For the things that they like would have traditionally removed with that. Exactly.
They would have burned down that Maw Crusher in round 1 or round 2, and there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas now it's like, I'm not scared of your non. Like, get out of here with that crap. What are you doing? If it's not, if you're not doing mortal wounds, leave. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure, like, it's definitely helping, and there's a lot in that, Iron Drakes. Now I think you could probably, can you still get, offhand, if you can still get Iron Drakes to -3 rends if you double tap the prayer on a 2-up?
Technically, no, because you can't repeat prayers.
Oh, okay. I wanted to check on that. Maybe that's something, if anybody knows offhand, or to confirm that one way or another. But obviously, they can get to -2 rends.
So,
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that could still do, good work. Iron Drakes are still strong. But there's definitely that big but now, which, again, 3+ base save. You set up, it's about kind of sequencing, where like round 1, you might need to be casting Mystic Shield on your bully piece. And then your bully piece goes off, and it's got the reach to get into combat, start doing some work. Cool. Your opponent goes, pop that Finest Hour. All right. Maybe it's got a +1
Finest Hour is almost constantly a purely defensive move.
A purely defensive move, right? Exactly. Yeah. And it just takes a little bit of the sequencing getting off for a game to tilt with that stuff. So anyway, I think it's really helped tone down the rends shooting output that we were seeing in 2.0. But there's certainly some cost on the other side of it that we're experiencing, and I don't really have a good sense of like where we're going to come out in the wash.
No, I agree. I think more time is needed to just sort of watch and witness. Right, that's what it's going to come down to.
Yep.
All right. So all of these things, and my ultimate answer, I feel right now, when it comes to these hero monsters, is like they still can't affect the game that much. Like, sure, Manfred may not die. The cabbage may be really tough. Whatever. Right. But they're still pretty limited pieces in what overall they can do. Okay. And then there's these guys.
Yes.
These 3. Okay. Let's talk about the God dilemma. There are 3 problem gods or godlike creatures that need some adjustments.
Yes.
Okay.
At least 3.
Maybe more. Yeah. But these 3 are definitely in the naughty group. They need to go in the penalty box.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. First off, apologies, Chad. You're not going to like this section if you see it, my friends. I'm not going to say some things about Marathi and her point value you're not going to like. So stick with us here.
Here we go. Universally, all 3 of these are too low pointed by probably 100 points. That's straight up. Yeah. They're 100 points off. Like, they're not even close.
So we're looking at 435 right now for Gotrek, right?
Yes.
And then we're at 660 for Marathi. Yeah. That doesn't, even saying it doesn't sound right.
No,
oh my God.
It feels wrong. I feel dirty.
Yeah. And then 830 on Archeon.
Yeah. These are you have correctly identified all 3 of their points values. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes at minimum 100-point increase across the board.
Sure. Coach said leave his waifu alone. I understand. Sure. Okay. It's totally fair. Look, I love Marathi. She's fantastic. We rated her our #1 god in our god tier list show.
Yeah.
And I stand behind that. She's absolutely wonderful. All these people are 100 points too cheap. It's just There's no world where she's cheaper than Alariel. Get out of here.
Well, okay, you're making me pull an I'm actually on you. Quit it.
She's not. She's better than Alariel.
Alariel, what is she, 740?
Alariel 740, yes.
Alariel is 515 points.
Nope, get out of here. I don't want to hear the I summon stuff example. That is nonsense. You don't pay to summon stuff.
Why does everybody say that's nonsense?
Because
you're going to summon a Kurnoth or a Tree Lord. You're already going to have that in your list.
In which case, I only play 4K lists when I play Slaanesh. Shut up. That's not how we calculate things. Your list is what you had. It's built into her cost. And Morathi is better. Enjoy your dumb Tree Lord or your 3 Kurnoth. I have 2 Morathis, and they're both better than either one of your things. Okay?
Yeah, if you add those up, sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing on that, but I'm getting tired of this idea that she's 740 points. Like, no, she's not. She and 3 Kurnoth.
It says it right there.
Are 740 points.
I get it.
I mean, if you're getting her killed before you get those out, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, it's certainly possible.
You've done something.
It's certainly in the world of possibilities.
It is more possible with these short boards. That's fair.
Yes. She actually isn't super resistant to range stuff in the first round before she's had a chance to cast anything or do anything, right?
Yeah.
She can still be thunderstruck pretty hard.
All right. Never play her. You probably don't want to play her instantly outside of a 1-drop. Play her in Battle Regiment and have a good time.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to be outdropped.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, look, my answer is, and Autumn said, honestly, most people I hear demanding points increases just don't want to see the gods on the field, and that's not true. I do want to see them on the field. I love playing with these big crazy lunatics. Okay, I really do. Like, I have 2 Archaeons, right? I clearly I love the guy. Right. All right.
You have one perverted Archaeon.
A beautiful Archael who's who's wonderful and leads my lurid host. These look, bottom line, they're just all too cheap. Like, we can get into individual examples. Morathi being, unkillable until round 3 should be justification enough. Right?
Yeah.
She's 2 heroes, she can do 2 different things, she can complete 2 different battle tactics in different ways. Like, she's crazy what she can accomplish and what she can do. And by the way, she's also quite durable beyond that. Right? Like, you can actually get her tough enough that she'll withstand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because she's 4 base, and, the ability to stack Ren, so you can pretty easily get her, stack against Ren pretty easily, get her at a 3+.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of things like Cauldrons and the fact that still gives +1 to save and so on and so forth, right?
Right. And you can make her, one of the challenges with her was always her potential derp through. Her derp through potential, and that's been cleaned up a little bit now with Titanic Duel for +1 hit against monsters.
Yes, and I also assume she's going to go back to Neg 2 Rend again because because they just forgot that they removed it, so the funny Rend swing continues. I mean, Archaeon at 830, as we've said many times in the show, there aren't many things in this game that can actually kill him. Probably one of the only other things that can kill him is Gotrek, maybe 9 Storm Friends, right?
Yeah,
because of their Rend 3 shots.
Right.
If they're juiced.
Sure.
Right? If they're juiced with more warp power and all the appropriate, sort of buffs, right?
Right.
But, again, it's very easy for Archaeon to be on 2-up, ignoring up to Rend 3 and staying on 2-up.
Yeah.
Rerolling 1s.
Right.
Right? So, like, that's just a very real profile that he will be on quite easily. Now, and by the way, that's not taking bad stuff. There's no tax to that. That's just taking the stuff you were going to take anyways.
Yeah.
In like a host duplicitous army.
Yeah, exactly. Zinch, you'll see him the most there. So he could potentially be at a 4-up ignoring spells and endless spells, and another built-in 4-up ignoring spells and endless spells. And then he's healing built-in. So heroic, what was it? Bravery.
Yeah, he heals 3d3 around, 2 heroic recoveries, and his chompy chomp head.
Yep. Yeah. So if you don't take him out in one go, potentially he's just coming back And yeah, I mean, he's absolutely the biggest nightmare piece, I think, in this game. And he has been for a little while. Like, we talk a lot about the tail end of 2.0. He was all over the place on TTS. It was just obnoxious. And it's even worse now because we're on set. We have, as we'll get into later, we have so many less objectives on these boards.
Right.
Which is an enormous issue with pieces like this, that you cannot hide from them.
Yep. Totally agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, like, even Gotrek, whoever, like, admittedly, the thing on Gotrek is that he's slow, but that matters a lot less on a smaller board when, as we said, in some of the scenarios, you're 12 inches from the enemy line on the diagonal.
Yeah.
Even Gotrek can get there. And he's just going to walk up to an objective and be like, this is mine now. I'll kill anybody that moves.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's just what's going to happen. And by the way, he can actually get, on a lot of these boards, he can get from objective to objective. Like, he can hold these two or whatever, it's 15 inches apart. Like, I don't mean he's literally holding two of them at the same time. I mean, he's like, he can kill everybody off one and pretty quickly, like, the next round, make it to the other one.
Sure.
Right? It's not that mega far away.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least
not every scenario. Some of them do still have some distance in them, but certainly on the center objective ones, he's a nightmare.
Right. I was going to say, at least with him, you do still have, some armies could have ways to slow his movement. Reduce his movement in half. We've talked a lot about the Khorne Demon Prince, his amazing command ability. There are a number of ways in the game, but it's not equal access, of course, but there are a number of ways in the game where you can potentially reduce movement significantly or turn him off. He's probably got a bravery of 10. But Archaon, you can't do that. Anything that, or potentially you can't do that, particularly in Tzeentch, if he's double tapping the 4-ups. Like, you got Shackles, cool. In Tzeentch, he could potentially just, he's 75% chance he's just going to ignore Shackles. You got Overwhelming Heat, or, name your favorite pets, reducing movement thing. Anything that's a spell, he could just ignore that potentially. So I'm not sure what all in the game there is that's not a spell that can reduce movement. That would be interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But we're kind of... Yeah.
I mean, he's gross in Khorne. He's gross in Tzeentch. I mean, those are probably the two big offenders. So, like, he can get there. He can do the work. I think in either of those armies, he's an utter nightmare. And can just, rule the board. And again, he's kind of the type of thing that can just start sweeping around objectives in the middle.
Right.
Right? So, like,
I mean...
He
needs
to be more expensive. Bottom line, he should just be 1,000.
Yeah,
he should just be 1,000.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. You can't. I don't think you can really overstate at this point how bad he is for the game. I think, like, at this point value, I would expect, if we're going to tournaments, he's just going to be all over the place.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's just I think like really, really unhealthy for the landscape, for the state of the game. Ironically, Gotrek is the one tool that at least Order armies have access to.
Sure.
To do something about him.
Sure.
But I mean, I do think it's fair to say that Gotrek is a problem in itself right now at this point. But at least with Gotrek, he's fixable largely through point value change.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. I think Archaon at 1,000 gets a lot less appealing. Like, that just does chew up more of your army, right?
Okay.
The scary part about Gotrek is that he can kill anything he touches, and you have 1,600 points of Seraphon behind him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's still a lot of Seraphon, or whatever. Pick your poison, right?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Like, in my mind, Morathi should be 760. Gotrek should be, assuming he's got his current scroll, he should be, over 500 considerably, basically back to his old point value at least. And Archaon should be a flat 1,000. All these people got mega power-ups in the new edition. Mega power-ups. Between just the printed rules of what hero monsters can do now, or just heroes in the case of Gotrek, but he doesn't need the monster crap anyways. Yeah. Right? And and just the fundamentals that we talked about, right? And then we'll talk about more.
Right.
Right. So,
you want to chat Nagash?
Yeah, Nagash is an interesting one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's 970, so he's actually kind of in the right place points-wise.
Right.
And he doesn't have he actually has some interesting fundamental challenges that the rest of these don't have. Okay.
Hmm.
What I mean by that is like a lot of Nagash's power relies on spellcasting. Yeah?
Yep.
His ability to rapid fire 8 spells. Like
Yep.
he's okay in melee. He's quite tough and so on and so forth. Like it's not that he does no damage. He's still Nagash. Like he does damage.
He's pretty reasonable in melee. Melee. Outside
Melee!
of the 8 potential arcane bolts he's throwing in your face at the start of
Yeah,
it.
sure. But I'm saying
But
that's his spellcasting. I'm literally saying like
right.
his melee profile it's okay. It's not bad. Right?
Yeah.
It's fine. The problem with him relying on spellcasting is that spellcasting is innately undependable.
Oh, sure.
Right? He can roll bad. He can you can be unbound. He can miscast. Like it would not be a weird world for you to be like, I cast a spell, it's successful, I rolled well. I cast a spell, oops, I rolled like crap. Somebody unbound my spell. I roll again. I get I get a second spell off. I roll again. It gets unbound. I roll a 5th time. This is my 5th cast, and I miscast, and I lose all the rest of my casts. And it's like, okay, well,
right.
What did you accomplish there?
Sure.
Not much, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, so it's easier for him to sort of not earn his points. Yeah, he's still gonna not die super often, like because he has a big death dude running around on a, on a 3-up save or whatever.
Yeah, 4-up wards just against mortals though.
Sure.
But yeah, he's got some ways to heal.
Yep.
Nico was pointing me to a Trixie Nico style play. I'm gonna have to find that as we're talking. It was quite good as a way to potentially machine gun heal Nagash. I'll have to find it as we're talking.
Sure.
It was a good one.
But it's like Nagash is like he's maybe on this. He would like I would put him in a TBD list. I think he's probably a challenge, but not in the same category as these 3. Who I just think fundamentally break games.
Right.
Because they're so rock paper scissors. They just like they're rocks that they don't make paper big enough to cover or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, this could be my Daughters of Cain bias coming through because I did play the army quite a bit over the last year plus. There you can at least you have ways to get Marathi off the board. Sure. Now she's more likely to do some work in at least those first 2 rounds that she's going to be on the board, but I would distinguish her in that regard relative to Gotrek and or certainly Archeon.
Her inability to heal holds her back mightily in the new edition, but she's still strong.
Yes.
Okay, and especially in her force, she's a very synergistic piece with her army because she doesn't. It's not like she's just being Marathi.
Sure.
Right. She's doing a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
She's also being like 15 snake bows. Do some work.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do some work again.
Yeah.
So it's
Mind Razor and +1 attack on some melee snakes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep saying melee. I'm just leaning into it at this point.
Do you, buddy? It's all right.
I am.
This is
I'm
the
not
Robit show. You're
I'm
fine.
done. I'm done being self-conscious about it.
Do not.
Sorry,
never,
Yukon.
Never be self-conscious about your pronunciations. Okay.
On Nagash, I know that Russ has been looking into him, and he thinks that he's got some play. Which I don't know if you heard him talk. He had a little show where he was talking about it. Yeah, I thought there was some good discussion. I can't remember. It was probably the Death Show or one of the Soul Blight shows that they were doing recently. And yeah, he made a lot of good points. So like one of the basic ones, portal, hand of dust through spell portal is absolutely still a thing. And if we're gonna have all of these 3+ armor save, hero monsters starting with Archeon running around the board, then that could be quite tasty in 3.0. So as a counter to all these hero monsters. But I think you're right. It's TBD for the most part.
Yep. So this is a problem. Like, and I normally wouldn't pick individual models. Like, we didn't pick a lot of specific stuff like this for this show, but these 3 are sort of so egregious to me.
Yeah.
That I felt like they literally like rose above, right? To just tower over the problems that might exist in any individual army. Yeah. Okay. Terrain. We've talked about this one before. I'll make this one kind of simple. The terrain rules just aren't where we would want them to be. It still feels like we didn't get the exact types of terrain we needed.
Yeah.
Um, like I just wanted to see terrain be better. It bothers me to no end that they gave impassable to some of the faction terrain, but didn't make impassable a generic thing we could just label terrain with.
Yeah.
Um, like we should have. We did a show with Rob on terrain. Rob's making a terrain pack. He uses it in the T Sports Network arena, and I think it's the right answer. There are four basic terrain types: obscuring, which you have to pass through. If you pass through, you get you can't be shot. Like it blocks line of sight, right? If you go through it. Impassable, which you cannot move on, or land on in any way.
Yeah.
Garrisoning, which are garrisonable, defensible, whatever, which is what we currently have, and then just basic cover. So terrain, like terrain, you're just happen to be standing on it. It's giving you +1 to save. So
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to definitely do another dedicated show on this, and maybe we could do
yes,
it when the terrain project is ready to announce, or and or when Rob, it's got something ready to kind of blast out. I was taking a look at what was some of his work or your guys' work together on the latest iteration of that the other day, and it seemed like it needed a little bit of addressing to bring it in line with 3.0, but like I really like the fundamentals that are there.
right.
And
Yeah, I
they
think there's some good stuff there. It needs sort of finalized, cleaned up, and brought fully into line. But to me,
Yeah.
ultimately, that's the 4 terrain types, right? That's what it should be.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there's other things. I've always been a fan of your solution for Unleash Hell. You gave me the Johnny Cochran version the other night. If it don't
Yes,
fit, it don't sit.
correct. Like
Which,
you didn't mean Unleash Hell. You meant for wobbly model
oh,
syndrome.
sorry.
But yes.
Gosh. Yeah. Thank you.
For what
Yeah.
happens, like I've got the model, it's trying to land right here, right?
Yeah.
It's trying to land on this stick or
Right.
something. Like these two little statues in this picture. Can my
Right.
Maw Crusher land on top of the stick, on top of the statue, and just sit there? Sure, he can land there if you can take your hands away, and he stays there.
Absolutely.
If it,
If he doesn't collapse
yeah.
into 100 pieces. Yeah.
So like that's ultimately like I'm a big if it don't fit, it don't sit rule.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we roll here. So like if you're just sitting over like a piece of scatter terrain and your base is like this, yeah, sure, whatever, who cares? Like that's fine, because
Definitely.
no big deal. But if you're trying to balance on the cocked corner of some ridiculous building, by the way, all that stuff should just be impassable or defensible, because defensible is the same way, you can't land on top of it.
Right.
Things like that should just be defensible or impassable. You shouldn't
Yeah.
generally be dealing with it. Like we should be making smarter choices, right?
Yeah. 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 I mean, we could talk for an hour on this, but yeah, let's do a show. Maybe we can get Paul Castro on. We're working together on this terrain project. It'd be great to have him on to talk about all the stuff and everything he's been doing.
I think that's a good
And
idea.
just do a real deep dive.
I like that idea. I like that idea greatly. All right. So that's kind of our problem section. Let's move to the TBD, right? To the
Yep.
maybe problems. To the we're watching you. Okay.
Right.
So this is like stuff that we're not sure is a problem, but it might be a challenge. We should all keep our eye on it and think about it as we go forward. Okay. So, seismic shift. It's a big deal, but is it a problem? In some scenarios, it matters a lot. In some, it doesn't matter at all. What are we playing is really the question, right? If the scenarios we end up favoring don't have a lot of prime objectives, or that kind of thing, then suddenly seismic shift is going to be one of the most important things you can ever use in the game, period, ever.
Right.
And who wins priority into 3 is going to just be the most important role of the entire game.
Yeah.
Because games will just get decided on the priority roll into turn 3. If we're playing mostly stuff that has a lot of prime objectives or is tilted towards the prime objectives, then who cares, right? It literally doesn't matter at all. If it's like a tournament is 3 primes and 2 nons, okay, then it might be about balanced, right?
Sure.
And it's overall important. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one that goes with, I think, our last one, the one about the lower objective count and the potential of these power pieces to, your power per square inch in relation to their potential impact on the game. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for this to be a problem. I don't have enough games yet to have a good sense about it. It's had some impact in the games so far. Like you probably play games as well already where, like because you won the round three, you were able to go second and choose to burn a particular objective, which had a big impact in the game. That's definitely come up in my game so far, either because it was that or because, maybe my opponent decided not to burn an objective and it kept them in that game. Like they had more scoring opportunity or whatever it was. So it's definitely been impactful. Now, is it, the question, is it going to have an outsized impact where it skews the game to an unhealthy degree? There's a lot of potential for it, man. Like, I'm worried about the smaller. Yeah, and a lot of what I'm going to say right here is going to be said about the lower objective count because I think that's fundamentally
Yep.
for me what it comes down to. So maybe I could
Sure.
just wait and we could kind of add
Yeah,
that
that's
all.
fine. I think
That's
this
my
one's a big
main.
TBD. We know it's really important. If you haven't played a
Yeah,
game yet, I guarantee you the first time you run into this rule, you're going to be like, whoa, this is a
yeah,
big change.
yeah.
So,
I mean, it does incentivize you to potentially play differently than you're accustomed to in
yep,
certain matchups. Yeah, because you've got to take into account the potential, first blood, three objectives. You can burn one of those in round three. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to try to take that into account in relation to what I'm doing.
right.
Same thing potentially, with a lot of these scenarios. One that I saw, anybody hasn't seen the latest battle report from Season of War, there's a great example of this. So Raj and Jordan were playing, I think it was their first game on Power in Numbers, the one that you have to hold for two consecutive turns. No. Whichever one is the battle line only or the battle line takes precedence.
Yeah, power in
The
numbers.
Okay, Power Numbers. Okay. So yeah, they played that one and it got like round two and Jordan has this I don't think I'm going to spoil this. Jordan has this realization that, oh crap, I should have been planning for the potential of winning the roll in round three to then go second and burn one of the objectives. And in my round two, focusing on burning as many of the other objectives as possible. And not to spoil what happens, but they kind of got into that situation. There's a few of these variables that came together, and he had this realization. That was really interesting to see with that scenario in particular, where you can burn. It's not just you can only burn your opponents, but you can burn yours as well in
Right.
power numbers. I'm pretty sure.
So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
Nope, good call out. All right,
Mm.
battle tactics.
Yep.
So this is one where I'm kind of flip flopping on something I said before in a previous show.
Mm.
Because my original point of view was, wow, these are really easy to get all five. But I realized I was
Right.
looking through the lens of certain armies, right?
Mm.
As I've gotten more games in and watched more varied armies play, like as we've gotten more games in with more armies in our club, right, in our group,
Yep.
it's come to my attention that, like, wow, actually, some armies are really hard pressed to complete some of these,
Mm.
right? There are some armies that just slam dunk on these all day, and you like do not have a problem completing these at all. You can just be like, yep, this one, now this one, now this one, now this one, and
Sure.
maybe in round five you're like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of these rely on doing things like doing damage.
Mm-hmm.
Broken ranks, you got to be able to kill a unit. Conquer, you've got to be able to take something over, right? So you got to be able to kill somebody off an objective,
Mm.
right? So on and so forth. Slay the Warlord, same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the first three I've read on that list are all deal a bunch of damage, right?
Right.
Bring it down, same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Aggressive expansion in basically any turn except the first turn where if you go first.
Yeah.
Where in which case you always use aggressive expansion first if the scenario allows for it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And there's some of these where, because of certain hero monsters we talked about, they can use their one, very tough hero monster, right, to go complete multiples of these.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you'll take Archeon and go kill a battle line unit. Then you'll take Archeon and go take an objective.
Sure.
Right? You'll take Archeon and go bring it down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and there's this is why the main area where we're all going to develop our mini game understanding with these battle tactics, particularly in terms of trying to prevent your opponents from getting their battle tactics, because that's been very impactful in the game so far, is that differential between who got their battle tactics and who didn't.
Yep. 100%. Noops, yes, absolutely, I would. We mentioned that at the top, but no issue. 100%. If I was working with a new player, I would skip battle tactics. You don't need them. They're not relevant to actually playing the game. They should be seen as like sprinkles on the cupcake. You still got a delicious cupcake. You don't need the sprinkles. Yeah, I mean, in watching various armies play up against this, I've realized not only is it just like there's sort of 3 tiers. I struggle on a lot of these. I can complete them pretty well. I can slam dunk on them and have monsters to do them.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, let's talk about some examples. Do you got an example in mind of that?
Sons of Behemoth, top tier, easy, all day long. Right. Yeah. I have enough damage. I'll remove I'll conquer. Well, like, I have objective control, so I'll conquer easy, right? I'm just gonna go walk near an objective and probably take it from you. Okay. I don't even need to kill you.
Right.
Ogres, the Beast Claw can also pull the same trick, right? Just like, I'm gonna just go wander over there. If you're playing Taker Tribe or something, it's 3 babies wander near an objective. They just took it. They're 45 models. There's very few units in the game that could literally exist that would stop them.
Right? Sure.
Broken ranks, sure, no problem. In goes the Gatebreaker and maybe some babies. I guarantee I'm going to kill any battle line unit I need to, other than like 30 pinks. Right? Yeah,
right.
Bring it down, no problem. My monsters are good at killing enemy monsters, right? Like, if I kill an enemy monster, it's going to be with one of my monsters because that's all I have.
Yeah, right? Definitely.
And ultimately you've got so like Sun's top tier, right? I look at like somebody who's kind of tough here. Nighthaunt are one of the examples of lower tier, not just because they don't have monsters, but because they also often struggle to push high damage, to spike damage.
Yeah, I've played them twice in 3.0 so far with the double cabbage, and that's been the problem. Yeah, he's been, like we talked about, he's been running the 2 bricks of 30 chain rasp,
which are good.
Dude, they're so good. Of dice that they pop out with rerolls, and it's amazing. But 2-up save, you got to roll a lot of 1s.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like, they're really good. They're hard to kill. They're sticky. They come back in droves. I'm a fan in Reichnor's of the chain rasp hordes. I think they absolutely do work, but like fundamentally that army struggles to spike damage.
Sure. Yeah.
And a lot of these are saying, hey, if you want this thing, go spike damage, right?
Yeah.
And the Metamorphosis spell can only do so much. Right? And again, certain armies have a better ability to take advantage of the Metamorphosis spell than others. Right? If you're in Ogres, where you like cast Metamorphosis on like a Tyrant or a Slaughtermaster or a Butcher or whatever the heck whatever your foot heroes are, they're already reasonably tough, okay? And they go, then they charge in, and now they do mortal wounds on a 4-up of their charge roll because now they count as a monster in their own army and do a ton more mortal wounds on the impact. It's just like it's a multiplicative factor with them, right?
Yeah, totally.
If you have super tough foot heroes that you know are reasonably survivable, right? Like if you've got Yndrasta, I'll Metamorphosis her all day long.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, she's gonna be with a Praetor bodyguard. Oh, she's gonna be so tough to bring down.
Right, like because she's just built for tough, as it were, right? She's very hard to kill.
Right.
Even without the Praetors there, but if the Praetors are there, she's just okay.
Yeah.
Probably do something else,
Right.
So again, it's not equitably distributed who can make the best use of metamorphosis.
Sure.
Yeah. So I ultimately my thought here, okay, is I really think over time what we're going to be able to and again, some of my stratification is really pure guessing at this point, right? Because I don't know what armies people are playing. I haven't really seen it all play out. We just don't have enough games in. It's not enough reps, not enough data, right?
Right.
But the reality is that we're going to see over time, I fully believe that you will see over time a big distinction in who is completing a lot of these and who's not. I really hope this gets turned in on tournament reports of how many like battle tactics people completed.
Yeah,
because
we're
I
gonna
would
do that.
love to in 6 months do an analysis of average number of battle tactics completed per game by army. That's dream data.
Please, everybody do this with your event. Yeah, we're gonna do it this weekend for our first 3.0 event, one dayer. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would just be so illuminating because I think there will absolutely become big deltas. Mr. Pickle said, "So So I need to be careful with my Frostlord and Stonehorn, or can I still yeet him at things?" The Frostlord on Stonehorn, you can yeet away, buddy. I mean, you're 3-up base save, 5-up after save. That dude's lock, stock, ready to rock.
I think it's a 4+ base save with a 4 ward.
No, the Frostlord? No.
Oh, sorry, Frostlord. Man, my brain tonight. I thought you said Frostheart. Gotcha.
No. The Frostheart Phoenix, who you could also yeet at things if you should so desire,
Sure.
is a 4-up base save with a 4-up after save, who his save gets a lot better when he starts casting his own spells on himself, like casting flaming weapons on himself and other such nonsense.
Right.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. But
yeah,
yes, both are fully yeetable. Go ahead.
Right. No, yeah, this is the area, man, that, I don't really have my head wrapped around yet, in terms of how, the impact, the various impact that these battle tactics are going to have in games on the different factions, on the different type of armies, like ranged armies versus melee armies versus combined, toolbox armies versus control armies, high model count armies versus monster heavy, elite, yada, yada, like, don't really have a good sense of that yet, how all that's going to shake out. I think we have this general belief that this edition is telling us clearly run hero monsters with 3-up save in particular, and that very well may turn out to be true for quite some time, in the high value. But yeah, there's a great article by Plastic Crack, Peter Atkinson on goonhammer.com, where he breaks down his thoughts on these battle tactics, like ways to potentially deny some from your opponent, and a lot of what we're talking about here. So if anybody hasn't seen that, definitely check that out. It's really one of the best articles out there on the battle tactics so far.
Nice. All right, cool. But yes, again, this is in the TBD, not direct problem, just the TBD category, because the delta could be quite small. Right. Once I see the data, it could be like, oh no, actually, there's not that much of a difference, and I'd be like, it's clear you can see there's a difference, but it's not hugely different. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Right. Or we could see like,
yeah,
this army's averaging 1. These armies are all averaging 5. I'd be like, whoa.
It is so hard to ignore the staring at this screen. Monster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8, and maybe there's just some nuance there, but 4 or 5 that are giving you bonus points for a monster doing something. And when a lot of these games have been close that I've certainly been playing, are either like we talk about, either one of us are getting blown off the board early, or the games are really close. And we discussed how the system is generally incentivizing closer games, which is great.
Right.
A few points here or there swinging on bonuses for monsters could be really big. So I don't know. It's kind of hard not to draw that working conclusion from what we're staring at here.
Agreed. All right, next up. It's not the east side. It's not the west side. It's the dark side. And we've got Death Star. The lower objective count. I'm going to do a simple calculation for you here, folks. Less objectives plus smaller table plus less need to spread out plus less need to hold all objectives because you cap at more than your opponent equals power per square inch is king, and Death Stars are real good. So, and by the way, Death Stars are still fully doable, even if your Death Star is now, instead of being like 30 dudes, it's one hero monster who still gets there.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, power per square inch is the hottest thing. It's so hot right now.
Yeah, dude.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this was the thing that didn't, like, the dots didn't connect immediately when first looking at the GHB and everything. But yeah, after playing 10 or so games, it's really starting to add up. So it's not only the hero monsters, but the 30 sentinels, or 20 2x20 sentinels with Iliatha, United Purpose, where they're hanging out near objectives, and you need to get on those. You need to get within a certain range of those objectives, and they're right there, and they're going to unleash hell on you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
You can't ignore it. You can't go run off on that 6th objective over there back in GHB 20 with all of its 6 objective scenarios or 8 objectives. That ain't happening as much anymore. I'm really worried about this in general with the game. When you combine this, with everything that we've discussed about these Death Star hero monster / units, range version or melee version, or otherwise, I think it's going to be a real issue.
Yeah, and part of the key here is, again, in the scenarios, and it'll be interesting to see what ends up becoming the tournament faves. I know we picked our 6 on our scenario review show, right?
Yeah.
And most of those have some pretty close objectives, sort of grouping toward the middle.
That's why I told you after the fact, that Feral Foray.
Right.
Like, in the moment,
because again, it still does spread you out some.
Yeah, yes, I feel like
6 objective.
I would want both of the 6 objectives in a tournament pack.
Right.
Just because there's 6 objectives, and this game, we need to be spread out more with these shorter tables and all these objectives, and we're potentially removing objectives, and
Right. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, like, Gotrek on some of these deployments is just going to be like in the mix right away. He's just there. Right. He's not that far away from anybody. And he can easily go kill everybody on this objective, walk over the next turn and charge over and kill everybody on this objective.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be hard unless they're like running away from him, right? Or redeploying away from him. But remember, he can start redeploying toward them as well.
Right.
Like, he redeploys a fully an option for him. Anything in the board moves within 9 of him, he's redeploying a D6 toward them. Best command point you're going to spend with Gotrek.
100%. Yeah.
He's just going to be like Charles Bronson in Death Wish or something, just chugging forward, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, like, the reality is that the more sort of synergistic power, and again, this isn't all just hero monsters. It can be stuff like Knights of the Empty Throne. You mentioned that. There are certain units, I think, that still absolutely fall into this, right? That can still actually get super buffed up enough to get there. Okay. But those units that can, like the Storm Friends is a great example, right? That's power per square inch personified, right?
Yeah, dude. And like, you always talk about, like, just because you might have one set of players playing a faction or something, they might have Be'lakor. Not everybody's got Be'lakor.
Right.
Like,
not everybody. Be'lakor's a great stop on the Death Star power.
Sure.
But he can only do so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And not everybody's got a piece like that. There's not equitable access to those tools to help with the 9 Storm Fiends, or pick your poison.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's one thing that you've said over the years that I've always really appreciated. Yeah, is that, like, just because there could be a solution or two that's out there, that's beside the point.
Doesn't mean everybody has that solution. Like,
right.
That's interesting in the holism of the game.
Right.
That might gatekeep those things sometimes out of just like domination position.
Sure.
Right. But that doesn't. But that's not how we play the game. I don't play all the games when I play my one game. I play my one game. Yeah. I've got the tools I've got.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's like I love and I'm fascinated personally by the question of what can kill 30 pink horrors, but I don't think that's a great
Nothing.
question for us to ask
Sure.
in the game. Like that's the wrong question for us to ask in terms of a healthy game.
Right.
But it's a fun question. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So this is another one I'm watching. Like, I'll be interested to see how this plays out. I think this has a lot to do with like what scenarios do people pick? Do they pick more stuff where the
yeah,
objectives are more spread out? Where do they include both of the 6 objective scenarios? Does Feral Foray and Power in Numbers become standard in tournament packs and stuff like that?
yeah.
Right. If those end up becoming the picks,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
If like Be'lakor and Legion of the First Prince ends up becoming super popular,
mm,
right? Then you're going to see downward pressure on this stuff and people naturally spreading out more,
mm-hmm.
right? So this is one of those ones that could tip in different directions
Sure.
depending on how the world plays out. That's why it's in the TBD category. Okay.
Yeah. Do you think that we would be in a healthier place if we did not have seismic shift and or if we had a higher average number of objectives? Like,
I don't know on A, definitely on B.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
We ended up grouping a lot around the middle. Uh, like for just like when we reset the new scenarios, we just
yeah,
ended up grouping a lot around the middle.
yeah,
And I'm not sure why that was.
yeah,
Like in this particular iteration of design. So
yeah. We've got First Blood. We have Survival of the Fittest,
mhm,
Tectonic Interference,
mhm.
Apex Predators.
Yep.
I mean, the Vice is kind of in its own category, but it
Sure.
eventually gets to the middle.
Pushes toward the middle, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of like 4.5 so far. Tooth and Nail, not exactly, kind of, but not exactly. Maybe that's another half. And then yeah, the Veins of Gur, which are
Yep.
3, but a little bit different. So maybe like 5 or so,
Right.
5 or 6. But yeah, I mean that's a high number,
Sure.
particularly relative to where we had been.
All right. We got Death Star. Okay. Let's just talk about some oddities. This is my last slide. This will just take a quick moment of conversation. Oh, that's right. I added a new slide since I sent it to you.
Oh yeah. I just clicked down and it's not there.
No, this is my new one that I added as I was just thinking about some other things.
Nice.
This one's gonna be fast though. So just some oddities. These are just head scratchers. Just rules sequestered in strange places. We mentioned these in the last show. These are not bad. These are just things that are weird. The match play priority being different than like the base priority and causing a bunch of confusion over people. Coalition units and elite units only existing in like the GHB and or these other and the FAQ even right with these places. We talked about it a lot last week. I don't think these are bad. They were just things that jumped out at me that was like, huh, those are weird. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So not problems, but just like oops, it feels like we kind of just made some weird decisions with this stuff.
Sure.
The one I don't have up here, but I would also say is that the not putting the core book matched play rules into the free rules pack, and the core book matched play rules has the full table for like 500 points, 750, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
Yeah,
me
me
too,
too,
man. Nice
man.
big table to let you play on lots of points. But a lot of people are just using the free rules and don't necessarily have the big book. And so if they have just the GHB and the free rules, they don't have access to that table.
Sure.
Because they just decided to print a smaller version of the table in the GHB for like layout reasons, I guess.
That was strange.
Which like I don't understand at all. Just that they should both be the same table. Why are they different tables?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we should all be using that core book and not feeling bad about playing anything in that table from the core book. It's great. Like 1,500 point games, love it. Would love to play a lot of 1,500 point games.
Yeah. So absolutely, like that's so. These are just a couple oddities that occurred to me. There you go.
Yeah.
That's all.
Cool. Easy enough.
Yeah, that's all.
We
all right,
shaved,
folks.
dude. We shaved an hour off of our average over now the last 8 weeks. We have been averaging 3 hours and roughly 30 minutes. It's a new dawn.
It's a new dawn. It's a new day. All right. So at any rate, there you go. Did we miss anything for you? Any problem areas, challenge areas you have? Do you need to get something off your chest? Do you need to rant? Drop that down in the comments below. We want to see it. I really want to see the conversation on this one. Don't forget to please hit like. I can already see that the thumbs downers are up and about for this, since we mentioned a slightly controversial topic.
How dare you?
So please do hit like. It helps other people find the show. Sleepy HDS said you used to be able to reroll a charge roll. Is that gone? No, you can still do it. You can just only do it once per phase, because all command abilities are now capped at once per phase. But yes, you can absolutely still do it. And so for all of you out there, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already. Obviously, we would love to have you on the journey here with the channel. Starting next week, and then for many of the weeks to come, but it's not going to be every single week, but we're going to do a lot of them over the coming months and weeks and stuff. We'll begin our revisiting the armies in 3.0. We're going to start looking at the forces, looking at the factions, see how their ship's shaping up, digging deep into these armies. And I am excited about them. Oh boy, oh boy.
Let's skip whatever armies that Paul Conti guy plays. We don't need him on the show anymore.
Yeah, well, your lead is safely ahead of him now, so
I don't know.
He's going to have to do his own guest hosting run, I would suppose, to catch you. But I am very excited to start talking about some armies. I'm jazzed. We've already got some really fun guests lined up to come in and talk about armies. So it's going to be fun, because now we've laid down all this groundwork, and we can really, really, really get into the exciting stuff about the armies.
Yeah.
So I love it. I hope you're getting some games in. If not, I hope you're enjoying. I hope you're getting your models painted. I hope you got some hobby done. Tyler, thank you as always, brother.
Absolutely. Get in that melee combat, folks.
There you go. To all of you out there, thank you for watching so much. Hit that like. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday.